right, guys, we're live.
I think I'm just going to talk to Marcus the whole time.
Oh, hey.
Hey, man, how's your lifts going? Things going okay?
They're going pretty good. Yeah.
Falling asleep over there, bud? Oh, my God. You see who this is over here?
Well, you didn't know because I just stood up on my little booster chair
Oh,
here.
Yeah.
looking handsome, buddy.
So much
That's
taller.
all I know.
What's going on, Ed?
Just hanging out here this weekend, doing a free seminar and having fun.
What's been going down? You've been kind of traveling all over the place, doing seminars everywhere.
A few times with Mr. Efferding, which is really cool because he's a lot of fun. I don't have to be alone, and I get to learn a lot from Stan.
He's really fat though. So is it hard?
He
Like
wouldn't take his shirt off near me. He was embarrassed.
he didn't want you to school him
I was
once
just
again.
showing him up.
How'd you meet Mr. Efferding?
I met him at the Mr. Olympia contest when you brought him along.
That's
for
right.
The first cover of the magazine.
That's right. Yep. That's kind of how we all kind of came together. Is Andy and I decided to do a magazine, and we thought there's only one person fit to be on the cover of the first Power magazine that we ever made. I was like, we need to have Ed Coan on there, and so there it was.
I never talked to you. I had only known you from the old Elite stuff as Smelly,
Right.
and I didn't even know your name. I just thought it was this funny, sarcastic bastard, which is pretty true
Yeah.
anyways. But and I had only known about Stan because he had started coming to your gym, and you were one of the first guys that started putting up videos.
Right.
And everyone's looking at this Jack guy, and he's getting stronger and bigger the whole time.
Yeah,
so it was
he
pretty
was-
cool.
Yeah, Stan was a freak right out of the gate. But something that you said that was really cool in that interview of that first publication of Power magazine. I said something like that. My dad said to me, part of knowing who you are is knowing who you're not. And I said that was really helpful to me because I was kind of chasing after these numbers, and it can be a very dangerous thing. Sometimes you chase after numbers that you're never meant to actually lift.
You end up not adhering to the process to get to it, and not doing dotting your I's and crossing your T's to get to it, and you're trying to jump levels that you're not at, and you never get there.
You sometimes skip some of the steps. But I said something like that to you in this interview, and I said, it was a good realization for me. It was healthy for me to recognize that I'm not Ed Coan, that I'm not Sean Frankel, that I'm not some of these guys that were breaking all-time world records. And you wrote, you in the magazine said back basically, I wouldn't worry about that. You're going to do your own great thing someday anyway.
That's all it is.
And I was like, and when I got that back, that really meant a lot to me. That really actually helped me with a lot of things because it's hard to kind of figure out your own way, your own path.
I always say I wish I had me to train me, both physically and mentally.
Right.
Because I think I would have done so much better. Because when you get inside your own head and you got your own ego and stuff like that, it's hard to take the steps needed. You don't look at it.
Yeah, this guy doesn't skip any steps. You been watching him?
Not anymore. I won't let him.
Filipino Thunder.
I will beat his ass.
But he's in here on off days. I mean, tell us about it, Marcus. What is some of the stuff you're doing? You're doing all this, almost prehab stuff that nobody wants to do. He's over there doing it.
Well, I have the normal 4 training days a week, and then every other day I'm in here. I try to get something done. Usually it's just a little bit of like warm up, roll out, stretch. A lot of prehab. That's what I like to call it, just because I don't want to get hurt again. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to prevent that from happening.
Preventative medicine.
Yeah. So I just try to make sure I'm moving, take care of my adductors, try to have my hips mobile, keep my pecs good, my elbow happy, so I can train. Because when I can't, I have to back off my training, it just fucks everything up. And then I'm not happy with my week if I can't go at it at the pace I was supposed to go at it. Then I get stressed out because I'm okay, in 10 weeks that means I'm not going to squat 750 for my single before meet, but I'm only going to get 740. And I'm like, now do I have the confidence to take the squat I want to take at the meet, or am I just going to be short there too?
Right.
You're setting yourself up on your off real training days to be successful.
Yeah,
that's right.
I think it's a lot better too for me, at least, to just do something and not just do nothing. Doing nothing and sitting on the couch, going home, and I feel like shit the next day coming in to train.
Doing those tiny little things a whole bunch of times though adds up.
Right. That's what you were talking about today. You said you were like, I got to do some kind of lifting today, and just to.
You got to move.
But it doesn't always have to be this monumental, big time exercising.
No,
going on.
training doesn't have to be power training. so to speak. It doesn't have to be bodybuilding training. It has to be movement. All the exercises you're doing actually can make you healthy, so you can do the other stuff. That's still training, because it's still hard work.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize that in your career, I mean, things have changed over the years. People have different ways of going about things, like a prehab type work, and some of the movements have changed a little bit. But some of the work that you did, just day in and day out doing, behind the neck presses, leg extensions, leg curls, calf raises. And then on top of that, whenever you were done with all your workouts, it seemed like every single workout you ever did, I think you always stretched.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times people don't recognize that, well, those movements, leg extensions can be looked at as a prehab movement. Leg curls, you're making the muscle bigger, stronger from different angles.
Exactly. You're not always going to be in the perfect position with a real heavy weight.
Yeah.
And if you're not, then what's going to hold you in place? All the other little things.
Yeah.
So that's why I used to put into place, as in the new Power magazine, I talk about making your body into this abominable force, like a suit of armor.
All right.
So wherever you go
Indestructible.
to hit, exactly, wherever you go to hit, there's chunks of muscle and tendons and ligaments and bone structure that is strong now, because you dotted your I's and crossed your T's. You make everything strong. It's like a old power bodybuilding type thing, and then get ready for a contest the power way. So you never had a weakness in what's going to show up. So instead of doing like 5 sets of regular heavy squats, I would do 2. And then I would do my heavy pause squats or high bar close stand squats, and then leg extensions, leg curls. And then on a deadlift day, after regular deadlifts, or I would do stiff leg deficits or regular deficits, all stuff without a belt, bent rows. And I would just make the whole body strong to withhold everything for the future.
Right. When it comes to powerlifting training too, we're training like it's the movement and not necessarily the muscle group, or at least that's the way a lot of people have shifted. When you were training, is that the way you looked at it, or was it different back then? Was it like a leg day, like almost like a bodybuilding routine, or was it a squat day?
The squat was the most important, but you knew you had to do the other stuff to fill in the blanks. That's what I made up the volume in my regular squats by filling in the blanks with heavy compound assistance exercises, plus the little stuff for balance and health.
Right. Do you think a newer person or a more experienced person has to worry about getting their volume from accessory work more?
A newer person has to, because they have to build a big base. You can't go up unless you build a base.
They just don't really have the strength to hammer it all out in the squat necessarily.
Too many weaknesses in too many areas, so it's good to be more power bodybuilding. And then in the middle, I think, like after contest or to get in shape, your GPP, you have to do that stuff, and then you can get ready for a power meet. And then at the end of your career, you have to do a lot more of that stuff to hold everything in place.
It comes full circle.
Yeah. I truly believe, and this is kind of new, is that how you trained when you were younger is how you're going to end up training, and it'll be the most comfortable way for you to train when you're older. Like when you started doing all your powerlifting stuff, the main stuff you did was a lot of the old conjugate and all that with box squats and stuff, and that is the most comfortable for your body.
Right.
So why wouldn't you go back to that? And it feels great and comfortable. That's what you did.
Exactly. And every time I deviate from it, I kind of feel like shit. I'm like, why am I just box squatting in my briefs? Like, that's what I'm used to.
Then do it. It's at this point, you're not going to compete. You want to be healthy. You want to be strong enough. So why not enjoy it?
Yeah. And the thing that makes it feel the best is to actually just have a good workout.
Yeah.
And the only way for us to have a good workout is we are defined by the weights that we move. So there's got to be some weight on there.
Yeah, it's not like we're training for a contest, so we don't got to worry about it.
Right.
Yeah.
But you can't train with nothing.
No, because you got your own ego. And like I said, I just train enough, heavy enough to look stronger than I really am.
That's when you whip out those CrossFit plates.
I have to do a little bit of shrugs and curls now and then now.
Marcus does a lot of the programming here for Super Training Gym and has helped a lot of our athletes reach some of their goals. we've noticed a trend where, a lot of people are adding in more volume to their workouts. But I personally have always kind of liked to train a little bit more the way that you're training. And I always liked the West Side stuff where it was kind of a one and done type thing, two sets, 3 sets. I never obtained the kind of strength that you had, so sometimes, depending on the movement, I might do an extra set or two to get that extra volume in there. But I was never really a big fan of like 5, 6, 7, 8 sets. I felt like I could never really recover from it.
Your speed can slow down, and when you get fatigued, your mental and your breaks down, and also your technique.
Right.
So that's what you have to be careful of. If you're going to do that many sets, the intensity level would have to be a lot lower.
Right.
Or else you're going to burn out.
And so maybe for that reason, maybe it's good to do that sometimes, because it is nice to have that mental challenge from a different angle, right?
It's all good and it's all not good. It depends on how you pick your numbers and your intensity and your workload. If it's too high too often, you're going to burn out. You won't be able to do it.
Right. Do you disagree with the way some people are training nowadays, or do you think it's just highly individual?
It's highly individual. It's all the same and different.
Like, do you look at it and be like, oh, I wouldn't do that? Or do you say, I wouldn't do that for me? Because that's kind of different.
Definitely for me. For some of the guys you watch that are the best, it works, but a lot of times the best are gifted to be able to do that. It won't hold true for the masses. So it's kind of like a disservice sometimes.
Yeah.
It's cool to show big lifts, but what's the actual routine that got you there?
Right.
That's what you want to know.
And with Marcus, he's an efficient squatter, and so when somebody's efficient at something, they have a little bit more leeway on the frequency they use, the intensity that they use. They could kind of they can flip flop and move around a little bit more than someone who's inefficient in a squat. They might not recover for a week.
Yeah, the room for error is a lot smaller.
It might take a long time to recover. When you're planning out some of the stuff, Marcus, what are some of the things you're looking for?
In myself?
Yeah.
Just the progress. Like,
Right.
I liked linear progression. Like, I was doing it like a long time ago, like right out of high school, before I knew it was a real program. It just kind of made sense. I'm
How
gonna
much
do.
weight were you squatting when you first came into super training?
So when I came into super training, like a good depth was probably like 620. I took a pretty ugly 645 the first week I was in here, and then I think by the first meet squatted 638. Had squatted 680 in training a couple times.
Right.
The following meet squatted 700 for the first time.
Was it 700 even or 699 and
705.
3/4?
It was 705.
That's the worst. That 699
Yeah.
number.
317.5 kilos.
Those numbers are real. Those numbers are a real bitch.
Mm-hmm.
It might have actually been 727 the first time I went over 7.
Oh yeah. I think you're right. I think you had one meet where
I think I squatted 7 in the gym going into that meet. But for me, it's just like since after my first year of lifting weights, I love the squats. First year, absolutely hated it. It was fucking hard. I wasn't strong. Didn't like it. I had a training partner. He used to talk a lot of shit. He was stronger than me there. Had a bigger bench. I caught up to his squat, and then I just took off. And it's my favorite lift. Like, if I could do never pull again, I would be completely happy, and I would just squat 4 days a week. Like, I would be totally fine doing that.
Do you have you always had motivation to go to the gym? I mean, you had a long career. You're still training now, but in your competitive days, was there ever a need for, like, quote unquote motivation, or you were just excited to train all the time anyway?
I always knew that I could get better, so I always had a reason to go.
Yeah, you always knew there was opportunity for you to.
Always, I knew before I would walk in the gym every day. I knew I would get what I was programmed to do all the time. I never had a doubt in my mind.
Did you ever work out like frustrated or mad because you were you were just so driven towards those numbers, or were you more like just focused? Was it more of a positive, cleaner focus?
It was always positive because I always knew what I was going to get. I had it worked out beforehand that I wrote out the program like 100 times to get every set rep and weight down, including assistance exercise, and so I knew every step of the way what I was going to do and how it was programmed. So every week built upon for the next week. It was easy because I knew the whole step of the way was figured out beforehand that I would not miss.
Yeah, you made that post the other day that had your buddy on there, Captain Kirk, and he was banging out some squats, but he always lifted pissed off. What was the quote?
What was it? Let's see.
I'm trying to get it. I can't get my phone to work, but I know I kind of noticed.
Powerlifting was just
my way of showing
about how pissed I really am on the inside about the world.
So that was kind of his way of training. For myself, I've trained that way plenty of times. It's worked a couple times. But it didn't have any legs.
The inner aggression is fine. If I let it out, it's too much energy I let out, and it has a tendency to lead to a mental doubt in your head, which Marcus and I talked about that earlier. A lot of times ammonia and stuff like that is just to break a negative thought.
Yeah, that's kind of the way that I've always felt about that, getting charged up and, hitting each other and all those things. Whatever you got to do to make the lift.
Well, really. You saw what happened to the guy when he cracked Jesse.
He got it right back.
Yeah.
A lot of times I think it's us talking ourselves into saying, hey, you know what, this is going to be really hard, but it's okay. Like, hey, it's okay, big guy. Like, you're gonna make it through this. You're gonna be able to get it.
You gotta talk yourself into it from the inside out. It can't be an external source. What is that Mr. Effer Dingalingaling says? Is there's nothing that anyone can do to or for you that is going to be better than what you can do to or for yourself.
Right.
So if it comes from you, that's Marcus can't make me feel confident about my weight. He can hype me up, but that's good. When I grab the bar, it's got to be me.
Right. He shouldn't be able to have a negative or positive impact on your lift.
No.
You should
just
have your
block out the noise.
Right. But maybe he says something that gives you a little bit of
there's certain people's voices that you like to hear.
Yeah.
But that just blocks out everything else.
Right.
It's always going to be you.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
No one lifts the weights for you.
When did this powerlifting career start? When was your first meet?
1980. I was 16.
Yeah.
It was class 3 novice back then. I had Ernie France and Bill Sino, who were world record holders, as a couple of my judges. I weighed like 150, so I didn't cut. I wanted to be big, so I didn't cut to 148. And my opener was 485, and they didn't have squat racks that went low enough, so they had to physically take the weight off and put it in my back. And I missed my first two, and then the third one I nailed. And then I benched 295 that day and pulled like 495. And I won like best lifter and stuff like that. So
you squatted 400 at 150 pounds.
485.
That was my opener. I would have squatted a lot more.
That's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, you basically squatted around 500 pounds.
But here's what I did. Twice a week, I squatted and maxed out both days till I got to 500. And it was just nothing but a really, really low good morning. I had like these skinny legs and this big back already because that's all I used.
Well, there's also there wasn't like a lot of video and stuff. There wasn't a lot of information of somebody repeatedly telling you that you did it the wrong way. Like if you would have posted that up on Instagram, you would have got roasted right away, right?
Oh God,
The flames would come out, and
they roast Lane Norton all the time about how his squat. That's just how he built. Just have fun.
Yeah,
do it. Shut up and
that's kind of the way you squatted, right? You kind of almost like lean into your belt, kind of.
I have these short little Oompa Loompa legs and a long torso, so I was going to lean over. So where do you put the bar when you squat? On your back.
Yeah.
What do you lay on when you bench? Your back. What do you pull with in a deadlift? Your back. So I just concentrated on getting my back as big and strong as possible. That was my base.
How do you think your back was able to handle that? Is it because you have a short torso? You think your back was able to handle some of that?
I built it.
Yeah. Just kept smashing it. And all the different exercises.
Yeah, and by going back again and building that new base and hitting those reps the way, your body, it's like Darwin's theory. It's going to evolve or die.
Yeah. You didn't really run into a lot of injuries until you got a little older. You ran into a muscle tear at the Mountaineer Cup.
Yeah, even before that,
or ligament tear rather.
Yeah. I think.
But you stayed pretty healthy though, considering the amount
of little tears, but no surgeries till the knee. And that's going to happen when you push the limits of your body at a certain weight class. All of a sudden, little tweak is going to be a big thing. It's not going to be a pulled muscle with a 900 plus pounds.
Right.
It's not going to be pull. It's going to be a little tear, and that's what happened.
We learn a lot from helping and from coaching other people. And, having Marcus here, he's always helping me. He's helping pretty much everybody in the gym. And we all help each other, and we all learn a lot from...
That's called teamwork.
We all learn a lot from all that.
What team in the history of major league sports, of any pro sports, has ever won without being a good team?
Right. No, it has to be a good team, and you need a leader.
Yeah.
You need somebody that's willing to say, hey, this is the way we're doing stuff around here. And then people need to kind of follow suit. Otherwise, you don't have much of a team.
No. It has to work together.
Yeah, and what I think is great is like going to do a seminar or seeing so many different people. We got a lot of people that visit us on the weekends here.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes have an extra 5, 10, 15 guests sometimes, and I've learned a lot by looking at some of these people. Sometimes you just simply learn, hey, you know what, I'm pretty good at coaching people. Makes it feel good. You're like,
you put enough time into it, all of a sudden you watch someone and say, no, that's wrong.
Like you start saying a lot of stuff, and you're like, wow, well, I guess I do have an opinion on something.
Exactly. You put enough time in, and you see it all, and you do it. Doing it is really important, because then you can watch someone and know not just how it looked, but you can say, no, that didn't feel right for you. I can tell, because the stuff didn't work right. For me, watching someone's technique is, I don't necessarily say your technique sucks. It's more of, if it looks natural for your body to do and it's comfortable, that's what you stick at. And then you just build on top of that, because everybody's different.
Right. And for myself, what I've learned the most from that process of working with a lot of other people is I've learned that I'm not always going to be right. I might say, hey, Marcus, bring your stance in, and it ends up being a shitty call, and I'm like, oh, shit, okay, go.
Then you learn.
Yeah,
but
go
then
back.
Then again, you could take another guy who's built like him, and you can say, pull your stance in, and it's going to work.
Right.
So that's what the thing is. Like, I
think that's important for coaches to understand. Like, you might be wrong. Your first guess sometimes is going to be wrong. Like, pay attention to what you're doing and actually see if it's working and communicate with that person.
What I learned from that Dr. Bo Hightower, that elite ortho stuff at Jackson Wink, is he put a post up one time of like 4 or 5 different MRIs or whatever, or x-rays of people's hips. And you could see the angles, and everybody was completely different on the inside, but on the outside, there's a good chance they looked all the same.
Right.
So that's where the little point your toes out this way, take a wider stance, high bar from low bar, that's where that stuff comes in.
Right.
But you don't know until you try.
Right, and you might have a doctor say, hey, like, this has to happen this way. This is the way that we produce the most amount of force. But until you've had that weight on your back, and each person's going to even just have the bar in a different spot on their back. They're going to hold the bar differently. So everything...
It's thrown out the window.
Everything's completely thrown out the window.
Then it goes back to, it's got to look and feel comfortable for the athlete to do, or else his body and mind are not going to want to do it. And then there's a struggle, and you're never going to win the struggle with heavy weight.
Yeah, how good is that play that the coach wants to run that everyone fucking hates? How good does that play work?
Never. Never.
Everybody puts, remember that in football? Like, everybody puts like half-hearted effort, into it. What's some stuff you learned from coaching some people around here, Marcus?
A lot. Just coaching people and watching people a lot, I can learn a lot about my own lifts, right? Because you see it over and over. You see what they're doing wrong. Because there are times like I can't take a step back from my lift and figure out what I'm doing wrong. Right. Then you watch other people and just kind of pick up on it really fast. What I've learned a lot of in here is just kind of what you guys are hitting on. Everybody's a little bit different. I tried for the better part of a year working with Smokey to like get his back to just get his back erect, get it flat to pull. And every time we try,
nothing's ever going to be erect with that guy.
Yeah, but every time we try, his pull goes to shit. Right, the weights go down. It's slow. It's uncomfortable, and I'm like, okay, well, fuck it. You can have a little bit of rounded back. I'm like, just stay tight.
Look at my back when I deadlifted the same way. My conventional.
And I think a lot after you get the experience of coaching, I think a lot of what you learn is that they're different. There's a lot of error in different people, and you can't just like teach people out of a book. You can't just teach people off of what's supposed to be perfect, or the way you do it, right?
Yeah. Because
a lot of people, they want to lift the way I want to lift, right? I get people like, oh, I want to squat like you, and I'm like, well, you're you're tall, you're lanky, you're skinny. I'm like, I don't think a wide stance squat's gonna fucking work for you. I'm like, there's just too much shit moving around.
And you've been thick, and you've been good at squats. Pretty much your whole life, right?
Yeah, it took a little while.
Thick, that thickness.
But yeah, I mean, it was a lot of trial and error in the beginning.
Right.
I went through a lot of like injuries, and then just kind of like slowly found the path that I'm on now.
Yeah. 804 squat, not too bad. What can we get this guy to? What do we got to do over here?
I actually think his next meet with knee wraps, he's going to squat at least 870.
Not too shabby.
I'm game for that.
No, that's pretty.
And so you've been helping him, right?
Yeah, I'm teaching. Well, you know what?
You've been giving him some programming, right?
Yeah, a lot of it, and then a lot of the stuff we talk about, I'll be like, well, that's your body telling you the path that you have to take with this. Where it'll be the same, but just little things will be different. It's like he needs a little bit more time to recover from deadlifts a lot with the way his adductors are. Mm-hmm. But I'll be working with him in the deadlift tomorrow a little bit, and Jess with her squat. Mm-hmm. And we'll do a lot of videotaping with that and learn the cues and stuff to try to correct things. And most of the time, it's easier for me because I've seen it 1,000 times, and I know exactly how it's going to feel.
Right.
So it comes a little easier for me, but I do this all the time with people. So like you said, when you help people, you start learning so much more about yourself.
Right.
The biggest compliment I ever got at a seminar was when I turned around at Omaha Barbell, and Stan and I were there doing a seminar together during the workshop part. And Stan was following me around, videotaping, stealing all my stuff. And that was the most awesome feeling I ever had in my life.
Yeah, he's crafty that way.
Yeah, we all learn from everybody.
It's tough with that guy, too, because he's got a photographic memory.
Except for faces.
So,
He forgets everyone's face.
Yeah, he forgets faces and names. He's not the greatest with that.
But usually the way he describes it, though, what sucks...
If he made it a competition, he'd probably still beat us in it,
is he ends up describing it better than you did, and it was your idea. That bastard. I hate him.
I hate him too, and every time we have him on the podcast, I think people just want him to just take over the podcast and kick me out of here. I think
he does it without trying, though.
I know.
Jerk.
Now, it doesn't help that he's ripped and he's like in his 50s and stuff too. What are we gonna do?
Just live with him.
Just live with it, and rather than trying to
just let him go.
Rather than trying to fight him,
let him talk. Just put a mirror in front of him. He'll forget about us.
That's actually very true. A mirror or a camera, and he's like, "Hey, where's the camera?"
Or steak.
Yeah,
salted.
That's true. Don't forget the bone broth and the rice. When you were lifting, there wasn't as much information. There wasn't as much people talking about recovery. Wasn't as much people talking about the nutrition side of things.
Nobody really knew it, though.
I think bodybuilders might have been talking about it, and there's some.
Yeah, but the old bodybuilding diets weren't really good either. These are just big monster guys who busted their ass in the gym, ate a lot of chicken breast and rice, and that was it.
Right.
So even the diets were the old style stuff.
Yeah, and it wasn't really enough fat or calories in a diet for a powerlifter.
It was only based on how good they could look and not on health at all.
Right. Yeah, not on how they can actually perform.
No.
Some people kind of had some decent ideas of it, though. It seemed like Bill Kazmaier was like a meat and potatoes kind of guy and like a whole milk kind of guy. It seemed like there was a couple people back then, but there just wasn't as much information. Did you follow anything specific when you were lifting, or you tried just to eat stuff that just didn't make you feel like crap?
As long as I was in the weight class, I pretty much ate whatever I want. I would finish every night, though, at midnight before I went to bed with a fillet.
Yeah,
that was that night.
So you always had some steak.
Yeah, but I pretty much ate whatever I want.
Do you think when it comes to like the actual pounds that you lifted, do you think there would have really been much difference from a food, like if the food was perfect or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I think there would have been as far as a cumulative over time, because you would have built more quality muscle in your body, your digestive system, everything else would have been working properly. So you were going to always be in a perfect state to lift what you wanted. I mean, you notice how much better do you think now that you're eating so clean without all processed stuff, and how that affects your mind?
Right.
It's huge.
No, it makes a big difference, and having longevity, can lead you to bigger lifts.
But the only way to get to longevity when you do it right is you have to be healthy the whole time to be able to do it.
Right.
So it sets it up. So it's not like I'm going to eat this way, so then later on I'll be able to lift this. It's no, I'm gonna set my diet and my rehab or stretching and all that stuff out this way, so I never get hurt all those years in between that makes me last that long.
Right.
It's all the work that's done at the beginning that sets you up for the end.
That makes sense. With you helping out Marcus, what are some of the things you're working on?
Well, we cut down his volume a lot, and we filled it in with exercises that would directly support his structure to help him out. That was the biggest thing.
Like the high bar.
Yeah, like when after he was done with the last cycle, he had to do high bar a little bit closer stance because he's so hip hamstring dominant, which
Right.
I was too. Except I used a little more back than him. That his quads would suffer. So when we did that and did a training cycle with that, those first few workouts, when you come back, all of a sudden your weakness is brought up a little bit. So now it's less of a weakness. So all of a sudden out of the hole, your quads push more. Boom!
Yeah.
Fires you up.
Right.
Yeah.
I see he'll come in and he's got these insane amount of reps and stuff going on with these big weights. You've always been a big proponent of reps. Why is that?
It sets you up. It gets you in shape, like your GPP or hypertrophy,
Right.
whatever. You say those words, you got to pay someone extra money.
Yeah.
And it's just, you got to be in shape, but it builds a certain amount of explosive power and speed. It solidifies your technique because doing that reps, you have to stay and keep that technique for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
And mentally, it makes you a hell of a lot stronger. Remember, Matt Kroc would do insane amounts of stuff just to see if he was mentally strong enough to be able to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and you look at some of these guys doing these deadlifts too, and they'll do one rep, and it looks like they're going to die on one rep, and then they'll hold the weight at the top, and they'll proceed to do 4 or 5
How
more.
are you going to do a whole meet? You gotta be in shape to be able to do it.
Right.
But your body is basically a flesh machine.
Right.
You got to keep it healthy and make it work over and over and over and perfect it. And that changes from cycle to cycle. That's why I always went back and did those exercises again with all the reps and all the volume filling and stuff, is to make that a bigger, stronger base.
Did you ever get bored with it? Were there times in your career where you're like, well, I just squatted 950 for a double. I'm just going to go home.
No, it's this is going to set me up to squat 1,000.
You squat 950 for a double, and you're like, if I don't do this extra work, I'm not going to be able to get that 1,000 pounds.
Exactly. I wanna feel strong and solid the whole time. So that's it. First of all, because we walked it out in those days, it made the walkout better because there's no wobbling, less weakness, and the confidence. When you get under the bar and you pop that up and it feels like nothing, where does that set up mentally?
Right.
You can't miss.
You used to do that sometimes, right? You used to overload the weight.
Yeah.
And you would do some walkouts, right? Some holds.
My last heavy day, after my heavy double, I would take, after the 950 double, I took a 1040 walkout and held it for 5 seconds and walked it back, just to feel some weight, central nervous system stimulus.
Right.
Mental stimulus it's where it all starts anyways.
It's about a week out from the meet.
Yeah.
And then the week of the meet.
2 weeks actually.
About 2 weeks out. The week before the meet, what would you do?
It would be usually some light reps at 500 or so. And same in the bench.
So a big taper would happen.
Yes. To make sure I'm fully recovered, because you did just put your body through a whole cycle or year of hell, because every off season kind of melted and blended in for the on season or whatever the next step was. So it's not like I have this cycle, this cycle, this cycle. It's all one cycle. It just changes course and blends in. The old a lot of your old Eastern Bloc Olympic weightlifters would have 1 year long training cycle. That means there's already written out every set and rep on every single exercise that you're going to do.
Sometimes 4 years.
Exactly.
For they call it an Olympic cycle.
So it's all planned out.
Yeah.
How can you miss?
Yeah. So
can't.
if you do the work and you make the reps, then you get the prize at the end, basically.
And that imitates life. Look at your business
Right.
and the steps you took. You basically do it like a power lifter.
Yeah.
You set it all up step by step.
I said something to somebody the other day. I said I've power lifted everything. Like like go as hard as you can and then rest for as long as you need, and then go as hard as you can, rest as
Pop
long as you
back
need.
up and do your thing.
Yeah, just kind of like keep going. Sometimes it's boring. Doesn't always look pretty. Sometimes you got to gut it out. Sometimes it looks like you're gonna miss it. Sometimes you fail. A lot of times you fail. Fail a bunch of times. When you reanalyze, sit down, ask other
Why
people.
did I fail?
Yeah.
If and when I ever miss something in training, it was never a negative. First, it was throw down my belt, scream and yell.
That always helps.
Yeah, MF this, MF that. Then it's over with. And then it was like, I didn't miss it because of strength. I missed it because of this. Then I was okay with it. Now I
Right.
knew what to do. Now correct it and change.
Do you think that's important to blame it on something else rather than just saying, "Hey, I'm not strong enough yet"?
That for like 30 seconds it works. and then all your training partners are like, oh, you dick, shut up.
You didn't have the right collar on that side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, you walked in front of me.
That's
Yeah.
always a good one.
Yeah, why didn't you move that dumbbell?
Did Goggins squat similar to you? Because I know he leaned forward a
Yeah,
lot
he
too.
bent over a lot
Yeah.
more. Yeah, he had, for squatting, he had one of the strongest backs in the history of all
Oh my God.
powerlifting.
I remember being at that contest when he did the first 1,100-pound squat.
Yeah, I was there, right on the side.
Absolutely unbelievable. The first 1,100-pound squat. Now we have guys doing that in a pair of knee wraps.
There's some evolution. You know what it is someone does something and then it opens up the minds of everyone else saying, yeah, that can be done. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I was talking about it a few weeks ago, saying, Roger Bannister, he's the first guy to run the 4-minute mile. I believe he did it in the 50s. And since that time, 20,000 people have run a sub 4-minute mile, including like high school kids. And so, yeah, once one person does it, then
It
other
opens it
people.
up.
And Roger Bannister's record stood for like 50 days.
Yeah.
Didn't stand for very long. So
People
once
realize it can be done.
yeah. Yeah, we're watching. Here he is lining up on that big ass. Remember that huge guy that would spot at the WPO finals all the time? That just monster.
Yeah,
of a
that
guy?
was a guy from Chris Weirton or something from
Yeah, that
from
guy was
Maine.
huge.
He was one of who was the head judge back then?
I forget.
Yeah, he was one of his guys.
That was
Chris Weirs was his name.
Yeah.
Chris Weirs.
yeah. That guy was
He was a large man.
Marcus. You would have loved this time frame of powerlifting. It was the WPO finals were really
Because it was at the Arnold in one of the ballrooms, and it was beyond packed and nothing but testosterone-filled energy in the room. I think
and card girls in bikinis.
Yes. No. From the local strip joint, he usually went and got them. And I mean,
In Ohio.
you could if Callie went to one of those meets, she would come out with a full beard.
Oh, the intensity.
I think
was
we need to bring
insane.
this powerlifting back.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah, there was a lot of energy.
You would see all the busted capsules and syringes and
Oh
shit.
my gosh! Yeah.
No one cared. It was just that's an interesting thing about powerlifting. How there's there is a drug tested federation, and there's non-drug tested, but like people just they kind of don't care. Like some people choose
Stay
to
in
lift.
your lane.
Yeah, some people choose to lift this way. Some people, I guess, what people do hate is when people lie, right? And when they come into the drug tested and they're taking shit,
Well,
they
see,
try
now
to slip
it's
one
a
past
different
everybody.
culture. It's more. It's not drug tested. You're supposed to be drug free, which there's a big difference from that to the old days. Because I was guilty of that in the old days.
Yeah, drug tested, man. Yeah, drug tested back
It's like
then.
everyone was jacked and just trying to pass a test, and nowadays it's more.
You got to get on mic a little bit more right there. Yeah.
Nowadays it's more drug free.
Right. Yeah, it's I remember that with the some of the Russian lifters when they started hitting these huge lifts, and like Yarmbash and some of these guys were hitting these huge lifts, and then it wasn't too much longer that they got booted out. You had all kinds of weird stuff happen in your powerlifting career.
Yeah.
There's the Ed Coan squat rule. You can't have the bar too low on your back, right?
And it was funny when they got, that was in Philadelphia, and they red lighted me, and I actually took off my shirt, went over to the jury and showed them the line with blood marks on it that was sitting on top of my back delts, and they all just went, they looked the other way. They don't want to see the truth.
You should have pulled your pants down. They could have really seen the truth then.
I would have really got red lights.
No, they would have given you white. They would have felt bad for you.
They would have put me. I had to lift with the women later then.
Oh my God! And then also you. I remember when I was a kid. I was trying to follow whatever I could, and it was just through Powerlifting USA. And me and my brother would read it. Occasionally, you'd end up in like Muscle and Fitness and stuff too, and we were super excited for that. But I think there was one time Powerlifting USA, it said like you were banned from powerlifting.
Yeah.
And we were like, what? Mm-hmm. This can't be. Like
just
we were
from the IPF.
We were like really sad. Like we were like, what's gonna happen with powerlifting? Like who even cares about sport anymore? The best guy, they ban him because he's too strong. What's going on here? What happened with some of that stuff?
I failed a drug test or two, and that's really what it was.
And they just booted you out of the.
Yeah, pretty much. And
they gave you a lifetime ban, didn't they?
Yeah, some of it was. I'll take the heat for what I did.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But there was the last instance where I really wasn't run according to how it was.
Right.
Your A sample gets split to A and B. Your one sample, and they opened up the A sample twice. Well, you can't open it up twice, but they still went there. But back in those days, the IPF would say, "Well, we're going to follow IOC rules, but." As promulgated by the IPF, which meant we're going to do things the way we want, even though we say we're going to do it the other, so they can never be wrong. And back in those days, it was just, okay, I was banned for life. Well, come 20-something years later, now they're saying, well, you can't even go to an Ed Coan seminar. But see, that wasn't an IPF rule then.
Have they let up on that now?
Yes and no. They say it to other athletes behind closed doors because, like in Sweden and other places, like I'm still the devil to certain people. And like in Kuwait, when we were just there, at least 15 people wouldn't come over from Dubai because they were afraid what they were told from the IPF people over there.
Does that hurt you?
Yeah.
Like, does that kind of hurt?
Yeah, because it's done on personal because they mentioned me out by name.
Yeah.
But see, it wasn't an IPF rule then, so I didn't violate an IPF rule. And they're saying, well, we uphold WADA rules. But see, WADA wasn't even invented yet for 2 years later. So actually, it really is bad. And
right.
I've contemplated getting a lawyer a lot, and I got a really good one that you know.
Yeah.
And who actually said, I could take care of this for you really easy.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine who's an FBI agent.
Nothing better than a mean lawyer.
Yeah.
They go overboard where you're like, whoa, like, hey, just...
Yeah, one that knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And, even a friend of mine who's an FBI supervisor, and he's actually a U.S. attorney, assistant U.S. attorney also, is he says, well, these federations and stuff get a lot of leeway because no one challenges them. Well, a federation or association can have any rule they want, but it will never, ever trump the U.S. law and Constitution. So they can do all things they want, but if it's illegal, it's illegal. And I've actually been treated really bad. It's been 22 years, and they still mess with me. And actually, I had a conversation before with the IPF president and another guy, a technical director, and they actually admitted to me that they know that, but they're afraid of what some countries might do and say. But they're just trying to work their way into the IOC. Right. And they're using, their tough stance on me. But, if and when I decide to end it, it'll end really bad.
Yeah, what do they even gain from that?
Nothing. Nothing. It's just that they need someone to pick on who's still a big name.
When you were, in your prime, we had, it was geared powerlifting. There was, some people, I guess, would choose to lift raw. Some people would make a decision.
Very, very few.
Because, they maybe just didn't like something or didn't.
Back in the old days, the gear was a lot different, but it still helped.
Yeah.
Why would you not use it?
From what I remember,
competition is going to use it.
Right. From what I recall is the only people that didn't wear powerlifting gear were the pussies. They were like new and they were like not strong, and they didn't want to commit to wearing the stuff because they were kind of scared to wear any of the suits or anything. But the squat suits back then, from some of the stuff I heard, they were like just passed around sometimes in the warm-up room. Like one guy would just bring them in. I guess it was George Zangus. It was one of the first,
the old marathon suits.
one of the first squat suits, right? And he just came to the warm-up room and he was like, you know, kind of handing them out, and guys, almost like a slingshot.
He did that the first time when he came out with his own double gold line knee wraps. As he came to the Nationals with a whole bunch of them, and gave them all lifters in the back.
So people tried them that day, and they were like, "Oh, this is cool. I'm gonna wear." And then they wore it on the platform, and they were able to squat 30, 40 more pounds.
There was less learning curve, but it still gave you support, so everyone used it.
But I thought it was cool that no one cared.
No one did care.
No one was like, "Hey, you can't." You know, it was just like
Cheater.
It wasn't like today. If you open up your stance in a deadlift, you're cheating.
Yeah. I think that actually started off as a joke, and now it just kind of
it gets a little serious sometimes.
said by guys that couldn't sumo.
I remember watching a lot of these videos. We're watching you squat 981 pounds in a meet. I mean, this is always just unbelievable to watch you. You're always aggressive on the way down, and the speed which you go down is almost identical to the speed at which you come back up. But I remember as a kid trying to watch these videos, I remember being super excited. I was like, I'm going to watch.
Video. That's Doug Furness's butt right there.
I remember this video. This is a really cool
I'm
video.
glad you remember his butt.
I do.
Is it? So this is no wait. This isn't the. Is this the meet where you pull conventional at the end or no?
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay. That looked familiar.
And
You hurt your hip, right?
No. I actually had torn my adductor, and I decided to in 1 year, and I decided, well, what the hell? Why don't I see what I can do conventional?
That guy next to you is huge too. That guy's.
There's the guy with the white shirt is John Binkowski. He was about 375 there, and
He benched 600 pounds at least. Look at that.
Oh
guy.
yeah. And the guy in back was Tom Milanovich, the old owner of Quads. He used to do a bunch of movies and stuff.
Oh yeah. He's some of those old videos where you guys are like by the fireplace and stuff.
Yeah.
Those are incredible.
Those are classic.
But I remember being so excited, and I was watching these videos, and I'm like, I'm gonna learn how to deadlift. I mean, this is gonna be so cool. And then I'd watch him walk up to the bar, just super calm, and pull like, I don't know, 700 pounds or something. And he just like he walked up to it calm, and he like lifted it like a damn savage. And I was like, I didn't learn anything from that. I don't understand. And you're explaining it, but I'm not understanding it because I just didn't know anything at the time. So I'm watching. I'm just like, oh my
cues
god.
that you would pick up at the time because you didn't know. Cues, what the cues meant.
I didn't know. All I learned from it is that I was a piece of shit.
That was the first 1,000-pound squat.
1,003.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Do I make it?
Every time you make it, we should rewind that.
I'll rewind it. One of the questions that came in actually was, what was your mentality like going into these lifting meets? Like, basically, like, did you have it? What was your mindset going in?
Make the first one and see how it goes. It was never like a preconceived, what am I going to do? It was, this is what I did in training. Let me do this for my opener, make it easy, and that'll tell me what I'm going to be good for the day. So I'm not going to say, let's say, I think my opener was 920 at that contest. Smoke show, so went right to 970 to feel it out because all the time I'm thinking total. I wasn't thinking, let's just go for a big monster squat and hope for the best. I wanted to build upon it. I was in shape, so doing another squat wasn't going to be hard. It was just mental focus, and I already had that.
Did you ever get caught kind of reaching in a meet?
What do you mean reaching?
Like taking...
No.
No?
No.
You ever taking too big of numbers?
No.
How do we teach people that now? Because, in my opinion, it might be a little harder now because we have Instagram and everyone wants that instant gratification.
Everything is an all-time world record. It's not like an IPF all-time record. It's not
It's just all-time.
UPA or USPA or SPF world record. It's just given. It's an all-time world record.
Larry Wheels,
Yeah.
Eric Lillibridge, Dan Green, and Kaylor Woolham all within the same week pull 900 pounds, and none of it is in competition even.
No.
It's just on Instagram.
No.
Or in the animal cage.
See, to me, that wouldn't work for me.
How do we stay in our lane nowadays? How do we not get so excited?
Mentally and physically, it would have burnt me out because you can only handle so much. As the old Russians, when I was one of the first guys to go to Russia after Fred Hatfield and another guy named Dave Kagi. And I was in the first powerlifting meet ever in Russia. And what a lot of the old timers said is you only have so many max attempts in your body. Don't waste them in competition.
I remember I asked you about the animal cage, and you were like, nope, don't do it. And I was like, but you told me that if I get invited to meets that I should go. And then you said, yeah, meets. It's not a power.
It's not
a powerlifting meet.
A demonstration you
and
can just
like,
do. If you're strong enough, a demonstration at a meet that you do your regular workout in is going to be way good enough.
Right, like some of the stuff that you did, like for Vince McMahon, like the when he had his bodybuilding federation, right? You did an appearance, and I think you pulled like 880 or something, right? But it was something that you knew was going to be super easy. It was probably part of your plan.
No problem. No problem. I did something in Santa Barbara once where I had a full Superman outfit underneath a suit, and it was at the Central whatever. It was a big bodybuilding show there. Yeah. And Fred Hatfield, Dr. Salaria, those are the guys that started the ISSA, and Tom Platz were on stage, and behind them during intermission, as they're on stage doing a Q&A for the crowd, they kept loading weights onto a bar, and when they got up to 700, Fred Hatfield turns around these guys. He goes, guys, what the hell are you doing? Oh, we're loading weights for somebody. Well, there's nobody here. This is a bodybuilding contest. There's no one here that can do that. And then Fred challenged the crowd. Well, I was sitting in the crowd warmed up with a suit and tie on with the Superman contest, whole suit on underneath. And so I said, I can. And no one really knew who I was there at the time. So I walked up on stage, and the house lights went off and only little spotlights on us. And Fred said, what do you mean you can do this, kid? I said, well, listen here, Pops. Just because you're too old and you can't do it anymore doesn't mean anyone else could. I think I could. And he challenged me, so I kind of kicked off my shoes, took my jacket off, put my jacket. I pulled his arm out straight, and I put my jacket over his arm. And then, but I had reached into my pockets and grabbed chalk. And I grabbed my shirt like this, and when I did that, they played Superman music as loud as they could. And I ripped my shirt off and let the chalk go. And I pulled 700 for like 7 or 8 reps right there. And with the, it was pretty funny.
That's cool. I remember, in this meet, you pull conventional. For those of you that have been under a rock or not paying attention, Ed Coan at 220 pounds not only pulled 901, but and that was sumo.
This one was a real light 242.
Oh, okay. So in a 242-pound weight class, he also pulls 887, and he does it conventional.
The only reason I didn't go over 900 was because the total record was 2458, which was the biggest one ever set by like Anthony Clark or something at the time. So I wanted to beat that, and that put me at 2463.
I think it was Bill Kazmaier.
Bill Kazmaier had told 2425. Anthony Clark and Dave Passanella had totaled a little bit more than that. Yeah.
Damn. Dave Passanella
he was very strong.
What do you think? Like maybe one of the greatest of all time, right? I mean,
definitely. He was ridiculous. I saw him walk out a 1030 squat like it was 135. What I remembered was so damn cool. And he had a decent bench and an 850 deadlift. I think 854 he had pulled at 275.
Yeah, he was insane.
He was built. He was like the strength coach at Georgia.
He died in like a car accident or something.
Yeah, I think he had a small car, and he came out of whatever parking lot at school or something, and somebody had T-boned him, but then his car went into a light pole and his neck snapped.
We recently lost Dr. Squat. You ever have an opportunity to work out with him?
Yeah, I used to. Fred helped me get a contract with Weeder back in the day.
Oh, no way.
When Fred worked for him. And Fred
That's when everybody was nice.
Yeah.
Nobody would do that now. Nobody would help anybody do anything.
Fred lived down there, and I would go and stay at Fred's house all the time. and Fred would teach me stuff, and we worked out in his garage all the time. And then he'd take me over there, and I'd go hang out with Joe, and that was it.
Fred Hatfield's powerlifting career was a little bit before yours, right?
Yeah.
A couple years before. He squatted. It was his
10-14.
10-14.
And I did 10-19.
When he went over 1,000 pounds, is that what he chose to hit? Was 10-14, or was that later on?
That
like
was later on. He had 1,003 or
Okay.
whatever first, and then 1,008, and then 1,014. Fred could actually like take 1050 and do it to about parallel and still come up with it, no problem. And Fred was actually shorter than me, but weighed in at like 258. So he was actually drinking salad oil to gain weight.
Really?
Just for leverage for the squat.
Oh my god.
He just couldn't hold on to a deadlift.
Oh, okay.
Especially when he was, or after squatting, he had a nerve impingement or something.
Yeah, I know you have huge hands. Can I get a hey now? How were you able to build up grip strength? Did you ever have to work on it in particular, or you just
I
were
didn't.
always
I don't
pretty
think I
strong?
really had to work on it, but I did anyways because of how it made everything feel when I grabbed the bar. Even when I grabbed the squat, when I grabbed that bar and my grip was really strong, it like went all throughout my whole body.
This guy's got a strong grip. Marcus, what are some things you do for your grip? Or when someone struggles with grip, what do you tell them to do?
Now we just do their accessories without straps now. I used to do a lot of
Reps, like repetitions.
Oh, yeah, reps.
a lot of reps. I used to do a lot of grip stuff, like when I was competing in strongman, but that's just because we always had different shit to hold. But for powerlifting, we're just holding a bar. I just do reps without it. If we have to implement something, we will. But for the most part, I think it takes care of itself as long as you just hang on to the bar.
Yeah, or like some of us, we lose mobility. You
That's
know,
a big one.
If your arm doesn't want to turn under, and you're someone that lifts
That's
the
why
under
I
over
tore my
grip.
bicep because of that.
Yeah, we we've done that multiple times in here too.
Like as of late, yeah, I've been playing with rolling out my forearms and biceps, and like I've been able to restore a good amount of my grip and range of motion to turn my hand under. And it's helped me. And I had you do that a little bit.
Yeah, no, it helps.
Once
It
you
helps a
kind of
lot.
get your grip, you don't really have to train it again. It'll still be there. But if you went back to trying those same grip exercises, you'll be weak as shit off them.
Yeah, I think some of my grip was actually kind of lost from all the heavy shirted benches over the years. I think
There's so much pressure. I've heard of that.
I think it just beat the ever living crap out of my arms, and it's hard for me with my left hand. It's hard for me to really, bear down and squeeze on something. But I don't bitch too much because I'm still able to do all the things.
Nobody cares.
Yeah, no one cares. Yeah, that's one thing. But the other thing is just that I'm having fun. Like I got bumps and bruises.
Train if it's
I got
not
this
fun.
and that, but it's
The best
still a lot of
times of
fun.
our lives are going to be in the gym.
Yeah. We're too much of meatheads.
Yeah, I'm fine being a meathead. I love it.
I agree.
Look what's The Rock. He has like his own gym that he travels around
God.
with and stuff. And that's even with lack of sleep, he'll go in and work out because that's the one thing that keeps him grounded because he's a musclehead just like everyone else.
Well, what I always kind of say is the less that you do, the less you want to do.
Yeah.
The more that you do, the more you want to take on. You're like, sure, what's next? Mm-hmm. Like you landed here, you're like, let's podcast, let's train. You want to do stuff.
Yeah, you're in shape though.
Right.
You can do a lot because when you're in shape physically, mentally, you're even better off.
What was something that drove you during these times? Because I forget. I used to obsess over the numbers. I forget even what they look like anymore. But I mean, you were out lifting most
Super heavies.
Yeah, well, you're out lifting super heavies. People in your own weight class, you're out totaling by 200-300 pounds. Okay, 400. You're out totaling people by 400 pounds. What makes you even kind of like care? Like what was driving you back
I
then?
didn't care what anyone else did. I only cared about myself. Not like in a selfish way.
Yeah.
I only cared about my numbers. I never wanted to set out to deadlift 900 or this number or that number. I just continuously got better. And the process worked because I paid attention to it. Every workout, every set, every rep I ever did was not for a purpose. Everything I did had a purpose to it, and it worked. It wasn't just, okay, I'll just do this today because I don't want to do this. No, I have to do this. And you know.
Yeah. When you look back at some of this stuff, is there you know, because you had an amazing powerlifting career, and then at some point the career's got to stop. You get banged up, you get injuries, and it's just everything ends at some point. Things end, but when you look back now, and now because of social media, you're still on everybody's radar. It's a good way to stay relevant. You're doing seminars now, and people still want to hear from you and know what you're doing. When you look back, you have any kind of regrets that maybe you didn't like take it all in better, or you didn't like understand almost what was going on, or did you feel like that you lived it up?
I was probably better off not understanding, and
you might have got caught up in some bullshit otherwise.
When I was a little kid, I had no hand-eye coordination, so I was going to IIT, Illinois Institute of Technology, at night with like horse blinders on and glasses, trying to learn how to bounce a ball in a line and stuff like that. Yeah, for real. And I was always
people like Smokey would call that retarded, which I don't think is the right thing to call it, Smokey. I think it's
not
rude.
anymore. So I was
sorry that he's so rude, by the way. He just
I know he is. He's
angry.
He's so vocal.
Yeah, he's.
I think it all has to do with lack of deadlift.
Yeah.
How do you think you were able to stay so focused for so long?
I think everything is from when you're a kid. So I was really introverted as a kid. And I was tiny. I got teased a lot and stuff like that. And I think your coping mechanism end up being a laser focus.
Okay.
Where I could walk up to a bar and this is all I'm thinking of the whole time. When I went in the gym, when I trained, when I did all that stuff, anything relating to training and stuff, it was this. Nothing else mattered. And everyone says, well, you have to give up this to be a champ. You have to give up that. You have to make these sacrifices. I think that's absolute positive bullshit. I think everything we did and everything we got out of it was a blessing and a reward for what we really wanted. That's the lifestyle we chose because we loved it. Mm-hmm. So everything, we didn't give up anything. We gained everything we gained from everything we did. Or as people say, gave up. That wasn't even in the equation. It was a gift being able to be in the gym and being able to make that progress and doing that stuff. So I didn't give up anything.
This footage that's on here right now.
That's my last meet.
Yeah, it's my favorite video to watch because it's all just veteran experience. Like
that's when my hips were starting to go.
The strength is still there. I mean, it's obvious that the strength is still there, but you don't have it physically.
No,
you don't have it at all.
No, my right hip was already starting to go.
You can't walk.
So
you shuffled up to the platform for this deadlift, and you just fucking squatted 939 or something like that.
Yeah, 931. And
That's insane.
I could barely bench anything, so I put a loose shirt on and I benched like 501 or 512 that day, and I just pulled like 510.
Was any of this driven by, you mentioned the way that you were as a kid, was any of this driven by like, I'm going to show you motherfuckers. I'm going to show everybody kind of what I'm made out of, what I can do?
The last meet it was. My cousin who did my knee actually came, the surgeon, he actually came to that meet. And after I got done squatting, he said, see you later. I saw enough, left. But it was I had to prove to myself that I could still do it. I had more in the squat. I had more in the deadlift. But I knew it was time, and I knew I had to stop. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to keep going. You just become a tragedy then. You don't become, it's just pitiful to watch. And I didn't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
And I knew it was just time. Your body can only handle so much for so long before it says, fuck, I'm tired. You need to rest.
When you retired, what was something that was gratifying or satisfying to you that you found? Because you got to kind of replace it with something. And there's no direct replacement, but you got to get something in there.
It was really tough because it sucked. Because you can't be the guy that you want to be, that you used to be, I should say. In your mind, for a long time, you still think you got it.
Yeah.
But you don't.
Yeah.
As soon as you try to start going heavy for too long, your body says, no, don't do this, dude. And then you have to replace it with a different kind of training to set your mind. But Actually, I said that wrong. Your mind has to set the tone for your body.
Right.
Because you have to think and believe it and accept it. Accepting it is the hardest thing. But once you accept it, you're free, man. You can do whatever you want to do. And now you can go back in the gym and train how you did when you were a kid and love it and not have to worry about those numbers. You'll still be strong because you still have that base from being a strong power lifter. Your bone structure and tendons and ligaments are still strong as hell. When I had my last hip replacement for my cousin, which was like just a few days ago, the 2-year anniversary, the hardest part, well, besides keeping me breathing, the hardest part of the surgery was my bone density was so thick that it took him an extra 30 to 45 minutes to do the surgery. And, you know, for us, that's like a badge of honor.
Right.
And so you're always going to have that. But then there's certain parts that can't really do what you used to do. But you always have that same structure. So you figure out, what can I do to replace this powerlifting training that will still keep me enthused to be able to do what I want to do in the gym and keep me happy?
Yeah, that's kind of the hard part, is like trying to find that motivation, because before you're so driven by the numbers and you're like, okay, I did this at my last meet, time to reload, time to rebuild.
We can't always just go in the gym and pump. There has to be some type of purpose to it,
Yeah.
or usually like some type of number related. So now it can just be reps and technique and feel.
Right.
And then it's not just about the numbers anymore. It's, I want to be healthier. I want to feel good. I want to be able to sleep. I want to be able to walk without pain.
Yeah.
And then it shifts. But then you realize too that, you know what, if I can actually get healthy, I can lift and do whatever the hell I want to do.
And you can still lift pretty well.
Yeah, and you can satisfy your own ego. You can still lift some weights how you used to and have fun. You enjoy it because you just let it all go and now you're free.
We've had Amadeo Novella on the podcast before, and he works with a lot of fighters. And he said his whole job is dedicated to making people feel better. He's like, when people come in for strength and conditioning stuff, he's like, yeah, like there's going to be some workouts that are tough. But my job is to make these guys that fight for a living, they're working on their striking, they're working on their jiu-jitsu, their wrestling, they're working on all these different things.
That's Capital Strength, right?
Yeah.
He's a really nice man.
Yeah. Working on mobility, working on all these different things. They got their nutrition, they have their own lives, they got tons of shit to worry about. He's like, the last thing I need is have them be overstressed from something that we did.
Yeah, so in this period of time, how do I make them feel good about it with a good workout that will be functional for them?
Marcus gave me 3 exercises at the end of the workout the other day, and I thought I was going to die, but it was all just like movement stuff. He was able to pop in and out of them pretty easy, and they were really difficult for me. But those are the kind of challenges I'd like to try to take on more so I can move better. I can feel better, so it's easier to tie my shoe.
Did you ever see some of the stuff Dorian Yates does now?
Yeah, he does
with yoga and stuff like
Yeah.
that. He goes, this is something I never dreamed I'd be able to do.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is just body movement because it makes him feel good.
It's so ridiculous. I think I have to do that because I just don't like the mobility stuff. So I need to go to like a class where I do that for like an hour or 90 minutes or however long those damn things are.
Yeah, you have a class here. You have one teacher come in and have everyone jump in.
Smokey, can you teach?
Oh, of course.
Get him some hot pants and
Super mobile.
Oh yeah,
Get
no,
him
off
best
the
mobility
races.
I've ever seen.
Oil boy.
So with such a huge squat, I know all the people that are watching right now, they want to know how they build their own squat. I really like a lot of the stuff that you say when you talk about getting into a competition. First of all, anybody listening, just get yourself in a competition. If you're too shy to do one, just go to one first, just check one out, try to find a coach, find somebody in your area, learn more about it.
You'll love it.
And then sign up, just sign your ass up, put your ass on the line for a powerlifting meet. But I've always liked what you said is it's all about the foundation. And after every competition, no matter how strong or how weak or how whatever you are, it's time to work on building that foundation up bigger.
It's your strong points are always going to be here. Your weak points are always going to be here. Mm-hmm. The thing is you can't let your strong points get this much farther ahead without bringing your weak points up.
Yeah.
Or else you're dead.
No, it's pretty simple because, you know, the more that gets skewed, you start to lose athleticism, you start to lose health, you start to lose mobility.
When I was at 220, I could actually still run, jump, and climb and do all that crazy stuff. I could actually take one step and touch a rim on a basketball.
Jesus.
But then after a
I think
period of
that's
time,
called a rim job.
yeah,
Is that what that is?
in a different way.
Andrew, you want to look that up for us?
Yeah,
Yeah, Google rim job.
Okay.
/ Smokey. But when I went up in body weight, and the reason I went up in body weight was to lift more weight, but to keep me healthy because I was getting lean at 220 where it was going to be really dangerous. So I went up in body weight. That's
Dangerously lean.
Yeah.
I've never felt that in my life.
Yeah. Did you ever
You're
see
there right
like?
now.
Did you ever see like? What was the bodybuilder? John Paul Fuchs or something.
Oh, yeah.
When
John
he blew
Pierre
out
Fuchs,
both
yeah.
legs, he
Yeah.
was getting ready for a contest, and I believe he went too heavy for a photo session in the squat, and both knees blew out. You
He
can't.
was too lean to lift those
Yeah.
weights. And Andreas Munzer, they say that he basically died from being too lean,
Yeah.
which is fucking
Not
insane.
enough fluids, not enough fat.
Right.
That's why Mohammed Benaziza died.
Did you have to do anything, special, after each competition, or when you were done with each competition? Like, did you take a week or two off? Or was
I tried,
It was
and it
too
actually
hard.
made it worse. So
Yeah.
like if I lifted on a Saturday or Sunday, by Tuesday I'd go in the gym and do some light squats and benches. Then on Thursday or Friday I'd do some light deadlifts. Then I was ready to start right away on the following week because I was in shape.
Yeah.
I was really strong. I wasn't beat up, but that helped me recover.
Did you care about anything else?
No,
Just all powerlifting all the time.
that's all I wanted to do.
Just powerlifting and Haga and
That came. She came
parents.
later.
your parents.
Well, she
You've
always
been-
comes later than me.
You've always your parents always been a big part of your life.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah,
And they've gone to like every meet, right?
I took them with me to Austria before too.
That's so cool.
And then after that, on the way back, we spent like 3 days in England and got to see like a Francis Lloyd Webber play on their version of Broadway, and the castle and the food and everything else. It was pretty cool.
That is
My mom would actually.
pretty awesome.
They would never sit in the front row because you're gonna spot your parents no matter what. And my mom knew that she couldn't yell anything out as much as she wanted to. She knew that's the one voice I would hear. You'd be squatting and then you'd go, you'd do it. Because the mom voice right away. And, usually
Mom, you're embarrassing me.
Yeah. She would kind of like hide behind someone and watch. And in between the times, my dad would be there with the paper.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Any other family members get to see you lift a lot?
My brother came to one of my meets at 198 that was in Chicago, and all my old buddies came, my childhood buddies, and they were on the back drinking beer with my brother. And I missed my second attempt squat, which was 859. I just fell forward, so I ran out right away to the bathroom in the hallway, and I'm going to the bathroom, and my brother walks up, blasted the urinal next to me. He goes, "Nice lift, asshole." So I had to come back and get the next one.
That's the way brothers are always there to
I think
keep you in line.
my sisters have seen it, and my nieces all came to my last one in Vegas, which was pretty cool.
What are some of your favorite exercises? Like, what's your favorite exercise, period?
I used to say, well, back in the day, it was whatever didn't hurt, I was good.
Yeah.
Because I knew I'd be good at it.
Right.
Probably the deadlift.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was really good at squatting, but I was good at both styles of deadlifts, whether it was conventional, deficit conventional with no belt, stiff legs, deficit, sumo. It didn't matter. I was always good at that.
What do you think built your deadlift up the most?
Deadlifting. And then it was bent rows. Brian Schoonfeld, the old strongman, and I, we would actually have bent over row contests. We would cycle like our heavy compound movements and all the exercise and all the lifts, all our assistance lifts. We would cycle them just like a regular squat, bench, or deadlift. So we would have them peak at the same time as our other lifts. So it's basically like, oh well, you shouldn't do that. You're going to overtrain. How do people do a Shako program?
Yeah.
They get in shape.
Right.
So we made ourselves get in shape. the way we wanted to.
Prepared yourself to be able to handle whatever's coming next.
Yeah, and we just built on that and built on that and bet. I mean, I remember doing bent over rows with no belt and with 578 or something for doubles. We used to do.
Jesus
And we used to
Christ.
have challenges like that.
And obviously, there's some body English going on, right?
There's a little bit because if we'll show in some video stuff tomorrow. That's at 198 in Hawaii in
Record breakers, maybe.
1985. I was still actually 21 years old.
Pretty jacked.
Yeah, I was hot. That's the first meet I bench pressed 501.
I love this. This is amazing. Like, we need to get a singlet for Smokey.
Like that?
Have his titties out.
Nips
Like,
out.
Those tiny little nipples?
yeah, it's like,
Oh, they're not tiny.
Oh no, he's got like silver
And
dollars.
that, you see behind me, that was Ted Arcidi. He was my roommate at that meet.
Ted Arcidi, first guy to bench 700 pounds.
Yeah. He did 705 in that meet.
He said he kind of regretted later on even wearing a bench shirt. He kind of just wore it just because it was kind of an Inzer thing. So he just chucked it on. Yeah, that was pretty
I was
damn-
ripped too.
It looked like you lift the most efficiently at that body weight.
Yes. That and at 220 I was the strongest.
Yeah, your body just seemed to just move well.
The-
You're also
behind
20,
me right there is
21.
Bill Sino. Bill Sino is like the only guy to win a national championship in bodybuilding, powerlifting, and Olympic weightlifting, I believe.
Oh my
He
God.
actually beat Sergio at a contest for the most muscular.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane. Yeah, it's cool back then how a lot of these guys did a lot of different things. You know, a lot of guys would power lift
Oh,
or do
God.
strongman,
Yeah.
and
Bill actually, that's Doyle Kennedy coaching me there too. Give me some words.
he pulled 900 pounds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was, Bill Sino shook so much in the squat that you see those big glasses on his head. They actually popped off his head one time at Ernie Francis in the basement.
That's pretty funny. It's cool watching some of these old videos. Do you miss it a lot?
I missed the feeling of being the tight and the strong there. But I don't miss having to go through it all because
Yeah.
I've done it, and just thinking about how much it would hurt right now mentally and physically.
Yeah. And also you're around it. You know, you're around it
Yeah.
all the time. And
I mean, I love it, and I actually love pretty much all the people involved in it.
right.
And like you said, I used to be a really angry little fucking troll. And my life got so much
That's the
easier.
greatest quote ever.
My life got so much easier when I just relaxed and be
Yeah.
nice.
Yep.
You don't hold anything in anymore. It's like, okay, you don't like me, fine, that's fine. I don't care anymore.
Yeah, and you
I'm
just
having
kinda-
fun. I'm enjoying my life, and it's my life the way I want to live
It's
it.
funny. That's what everybody always says about you. And I'm like, well, it's easy to be nice when you've kicked the shit out of everybody.
Well, the old days, yeah. Now I think I appreciate the lifting and the competition. When I watch it, I can appreciate what they went through.
Yeah.
And when they lift, it's like as they're like deadlifting, I'll be like going like this in my seat, picking my chest and my head up, and you have that feeling never leaves your brain. You know exactly how it's going to feel, and there's nothing about it I don't love.
You mentioned bent over row being one of your favorites for deadlift. What's another favorite?
Behind the neck presses, seated. I love those. I think those carried over
bench real well.
and help my bench really well. The problem people have with them is they don't have the mobility to do them, and they start off too heavy. Well, I was doing them for a million years since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I conditioned myself to do that.
Yeah, we watched this the other day. You did 400, I think, for a double.
Yeah. No, for one, I did 370 for two doubles. Then I said, I got to do 400 for a video.
Seated behind the neck. You go down to about your ears or so.
Just barely below my ears, and that was enough, especially with my, ape-like arms.
It's still a pretty long range of motion. And then on the bench press, people, they see your bench lower than some people today, but they lose sight of that you're 220-pound lifter, and also you weren't relying much on a bench shirt back then.
Now the old school ones gave you like 10, 15 pounds.
Yeah, took some stress off your shoulders, but you benched the same amount in and out of a bench shirt. Is that right?
Yeah.
You did 585 as your best touch and go. In
I
training?
did a pause raw with 565, but I did a pause raw with my feet up in the air at 550.
Wow.
So I really didn't. It was just a flat back bench.
Yeah, I think I've seen a video of you doing close grip with like 545 for.
Yeah, it was 520 for 2.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great video because you got such a long stroke when you're benching, but you do it kind of effortlessly from what I remember.
You make yourself strong from every angle.
Right.
So where's your weakness?
And you got one.
No.
Yeah, there's 505. I mean, it just looks like it's freaking launched out of a cannon.
I used to a lot of times touch and go my benches, but I'd pause my close grips and inclines because it was less stress.
Right. You know, I find it interesting when people are just intuitive like that. You know, who was it? Ronnie Coleman. You know, Ronnie Coleman. They said, you know, why don't you lock out your, you know, when you're have the dumbbells? Why don't you locking them out? Why don't you go in full range? He said, because it hurts. Period.
Yeah.
Next question.
Yeah. Well, see, I didn't have any authority telling me what I was doing was wrong.
Right.
So I was fortunate in that regard. Well, first of all, you learn the hard way. So you learn your way, which is going to work best for you and what feels natural for you.
Right.
I didn't have anyone teach me how to do sumo. I felt and wiggled and felt the right spot that felt the best, and that's what I went with.
I'll just throw out some questions for him, like some frequently, you know, questions that you and I run into when people ask. So I'll kick it off with my butt shoots up in the deadlift. What do I do?
Usually what happens is they're loose. When you drop down to the deadlift, you have to take the slack out of the bar. So you pull against the bar and you pull your body tight into it, but you can't lose go of that. If you lose that, everything crumbles right away.
You gotta stay connected.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. You connect with it and you wiggle. Like the Duffin thing. What Duffin told you how I wiggle in to get my hips close to the bar. You're wiggling into a tighter, more perfectly efficient position to make everything work at the same time. Your whole body has to work at once in order for it to go up properly. It can't be, legs, then back. It all has to work together as one chain.
I think it's good advice because a lot of times people are like, oh, it's an exercise. Your glutes are weak, and
they overanalyze it too much.
Who knows? It's hard to figure anything out.
They overanalyze. What you do is you start with them light.
Cut the weight down.
Yeah, and then you build it up properly. Usually a technique flaws are the reason for everything.
Right.
And same in the squat. You can have someone and say, no, do this with your grip. No, okay, now I want you to bend the bar, squeeze your lats, and pull your triceps into your lats and pop up your sternum. Okay? Now, that had a domino effect, and 5 of the things you are doing wrong are now fixed.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, your rhomboids were weak, and this is off, and it's just usually it's a technique flaw.
A comparison would be, every time I throw, like if you're a professional football player, every time you throw a 5-yard out, it gets picked off and goes the other way, and you're thinking, your coach is telling you that it's your footwork. Your technique is off. It's your footwork, but you're working on your arm strength because you think you need to throw the ball harder, and it ends up being all about efficiency.
Yeah.
If you can move better, you're going to lift better.
With every sport, it's biomechanics.
Yeah.
Every single sport you do, how you run, how you jump, how you throw, how you hit, all of it. It's all the same.
I'll throw out a question to him.
Yeah, like when people ask, like, how do you stay tight in the bench, in the hole? Like, how do you engage your lats?
I never thought about, I have to engage this or engage that. If I would squeeze my butt, pop my sternum up as high as I could, look what happens, the effect on your back and on your lats. The higher it gets.
Yeah, you just squeeze. You can't push your chest up with that.
You don't even have to try to squeeze it. If you just pick this up and keep picking it up and keep picking it up, almost like that, without as much massage.
I feel that. Should I put this between it?
Closer a little bit.
And then it stays. And then it stays. And then it stays tight. So if you have to consciously try to do that,
Smokey, you're
it
missing out.
won't work. Yeah, you shouldn't have to consciously try to do it. It's all in the setup. It really is. Yeah. You shouldn't have to think, I want to engage my lats. If you do that and try to engage your lats right away, you're going to go like that. So if you keep this up, Do a curl with a barbell, pretend.
Yep.
Without joking. Do a standing overhead press. Yep. When you do a squat, when you do a bench, when you do a deadlift, every exercise, this is the factor. It has to stay up because look what it does to the position of your shoulders.
Like
look how it locks up your back and your whole core.
Yeah.
Just keep that up.
Which is just good posture.
Yeah. But it's your body's way of protecting itself. You're protecting your back, your shoulders, everything.
You have some exercise you have people do sometimes, like because back years ago they used to say big chest. When you would go to do a squat to try to really lock it in. It seems like the deadlift ends up being the same way, and it seems like the bench is the same way, right?
It pretty much is. It's just different cues that mean the same thing.
Right.
Whatever. That's why somebody's voice will get to you as compared to someone others because they give the right cue.
Right. And do you have any particular exercise you like doing for that? Is there any sort of like row or face pull or stretch or anything like that?
Nothing that I ever thought of. It was just how to position myself in the lift.
Just do it while you're lifting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it comes down to after that is what are the exercises that will benefit me based on how I lift that I feel best to help me get in that position.
You were
and
able
stay
to
in that position.
You were able to arch really well, like your upper and mid back when you'd squat. Mm-hmm. You attribute that to anything other than just squatting heavy and
I wiggled into the weight. So when I set up a squat, I actually almost fell off my platform and killed myself. is I would put the left shoulder under first, pop it up, put the right shoulder over, pop it up, then step it underneath it, and now I would pop everything up. And if you look at it from the back, you'll be able to see how your whole back just locks up. Now, as long as you can hold that, your position, even if you bent over or whatever, you're still in a position to be able to do the weight in the squat or deadlift because the back doesn't break. Mm-hmm. It's impossible.
It just doesn't bend.
No, it won't.
What about some assistance movements for the squat?
For me, high bar, closer stance in the off season was best because my hips, hamstrings, and back were so strong as compared to my quads. So that I would still, the only assistance exercise that helped me for the squat, bench, deadlift the most were variations of that lift. So then they would actually transfer over easier.
So for bench, watching some of those old videos, it was close grip bench usually.
Yeah. Close grip bench with your feet up, heavy inclines in a certain way.
And then for your deadlifts, a lot of times it was just a stiff leg deadlift.
Stiff leg deficit deadlift, no belt, or conventional deficit, no belt.
And then in the squat, like you said,
high bar, closer stance squats.
You didn't really mess with pause squats, right?
I didn't mind pause squats. Pause squats are good as a training tool to teach you how to stay tight in a hole. And what they do is they fix your squat. If you have to stay tight on the way down, stop on the bottom, hold your breath, still stay tight before you push. And then when you push, the only way for you to stay in perfect position is for everything to be perfect at the same time. If this happens, you're not using your back, or you're using too much leg, or you're not using your legs and not using your back, one or the other. The biggest problem people make in the squat is they think it's only a leg exercise. So all they do out of the hole is they try to push with their legs. They don't use their back. Well, if there's not, just like the deadlift, if there's not an even push going down, which is your legs, and an even pull going up, which is your back, your hips won't come through. Kind of like a hinge on a door. Yeah. They have to come through. They won't come through if one or the other.
Pretty often, like, don't be afraid to use your back.
No, you got to. It's where the weight sits. It's your base of everything.
It's what makes us strong.
If you have a bad shoulder, you can walk around, you can function. If you have a bad knee, you can do the same. If you have a bad lower back, you're screwed.
That's true.
And that's pain. Yeah. So if you can lock that and make it healthy and build that, then everything else falls into place.
About how many exercises would you do in a given workout?
3 to 4.
Because the main lift takes a while, right?
Yeah. If you hit that main lift how you're supposed to in the numbers, you accomplished a certain amount of work already with intensity. And for you, if you could come back and put the same intensity into all these other exercises, well, you didn't do that first exercise how you're supposed to. That's why the other ones are called assistance exercises. They just, just dotting the I's, crossing the T's,
Yeah.
making sure everything transfers over and is strong. Your weak points aren't as weak anymore. But that's how you bring them up.
Did you use any visualization in your lifting career?
Let's see, after I left the gym till I got in the gym, was all visualization all the time. But I can visualize it and feel it at the same time.
Yeah.
That's the important part, because then you're able to identify from the moment you walk up to the bar, which was going to be the same every single time. When I didn't squat and deadlift for 2 years after my first hip replacement, when I walked up to the bar, I took the same exact steps, got under it the same way, and took it off. It felt like home. It was so perfect that it didn't feel like anything again. But so you gotta do everything the same way all the time, the way you're gonna compete.
Right.
But I had the steps, how I put my hands on the bar, how I wiggle under the bar. Everything was always the same. So that part of the lift was always done. So it wasn't. That was confidence. Walk up to the bar, you knew you could get tight, walk it out. Walking out was easy for me. Now all you gotta do is just go down and come up.
Yeah, I remember watching those videos of you walking the weights out and it just looked like you were shot out of a cannon.
Practice it right.
I was like,
practice.
I was like, I don't think I'll be able to do it that way.
Yeah,
You just look like you almost fell.
The controversy with the monolift and not. Of course, you can lift more with a monolift that you don't have to walk out, but that doesn't mean a guy that uses a monolift can't learn to walk it out and squat big weight.
Right.
People forget that. They use it as everyone wants to use it as an excuse.
Yeah, and look at like Milanichev, like he would still partially use it. He would kind of halfway walk it out.
Yeah, he still walks it out, but I actually use a monolift back at the gym.
Cheater.
Yeah, but I walk it out, but it's so much easier to walk out of a monolift because it's so big and you got so much room that it's safer.
Well, sometimes those other racks you might lean into, unless you don't get far enough
No
away.
thanks.
You got some questions popping up over there, Andrew?
Yeah, real quick it says his name is Mario Lopez. I don't know if he is the
Thanks for
Mario
joining
Lopez.
us, Mario.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Big fan. He wants to know some advice on fixing hip tilt in the squat.
Me leaning forward, probably.
Maybe. Yeah, he didn't specify.
Well, I'd have
Could
to
be talking about like that butt wink deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If there's nothing wrong with a butt wink.
Yeah.
If you go low enough, you're going to have a butt wink. If you have a closer stance, you're going to have a butt wink. It's no big deal at all. He just got to make sure his groin is open.
Open the taint.
Yeah. And he's got to lock his back in, or else what's going to happen is that if that's the tilt he's talking about this way, then what happens is he doesn't open up, so he closes his hip and locks up his hip flexors, so nothing opens, so the hips don't rotate like this. If your hip don't rotate like that, you're not using your hips, which AKA your butt and your hamstrings aren't going to activate on the way down. So the first thing you do is going to be bend over.
Yeah, it becomes like a 2-part lift. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you guys want to get into diet at all?
we could try.
Yeah. It was just an early question. Somebody was just wondering if
He's more than me.
yeah, what your thoughts were on the carnivore diet, because that's something we've been talking a lot about lately.
I never did it. What I will say when I was talking to Mark early is everyone there has their own opinion about what's healthy and what's not. A better alternative is always going to be healthier. His brother Chris used to be puffier and soft. This is the first time I ever saw Chris, both mentally and physically, look way better than he ever has. End of story.
Yeah, I think when it comes to a carnivore diet or a keto diet, they're mainly for losing weight. That's kind of, in my opinion, that's mainly what they're for. And I do think that you need rice, you need potato. You want to lift big weights. I just think that you need carbohydrates, and I've been saying that for a very long time.
Yeah,
and I think that
what's your goal?
Yeah.
And what is going to be sustainable for you in the future?
Right.
There may be certain times where I'm going to do the carnivore or the keto for either so many weeks or so many days out of the week, and I'm going to have a day or two where I eat a little more carbs.
Right.
Then it becomes a little more sustainable.
Right.
And still healthy.
Right, and then also too, if you're somebody that is totally uncomfortable with your body and you don't feel like you're in the shape that you want to be in, then put a freeze on your strength for a little while. Just don't worry about it. Go ahead
Get
and
healthy first.
Take care of what you need to take care of. Go ahead and drop your weight, and your strength will come back. and have an ideal idea of how much weight you want to lose. Don't think you're going to lose 100 pounds and gain strength on your bench. You lose weight, any significant amount of weight. If you lose weight fast, you're going to lose strength. Don't let anybody else tell you any different. That's just what happens. So,
too many people get caught up with, if I weigh this amount, I'm a big, strong guy. Right. And you may be stronger, but you're still fat.
Right.
There's no replacement for being healthy. There's no replacement for being healthy. You may lift more for a certain period of time, but at the end of the day, eventually you're going to have to get healthy to be able to live. And what we talked about earlier, if I am healthy, if my body's not hurting and I'm healthy, I can go in the gym and lift almost whatever I want because everything's working properly. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, and for me, during my career, I lifted some heavy weights without sleep and with shitty food. But I would have lifted more weight. I would have lasted longer. I would have been able to do an 1,100-pound squat. Would have been able to bench 900 pounds. I mean, I would have been more efficient, and who knows? Maybe I'd have less. Maybe I'd be less banged up if I did it more efficiently. So that's the.
Or you'd be the same amount of banged up, but would have lifted a lot more weight.
Yeah, exactly.
But either way, it's good.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually I have a question for Marcus though, because we've spoken in the past about because I have arthritis in my back. I use it as my number one excuse for being so skinny. Mm-hmm. You have arthritis in your back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say what the hell do you do to yourself to fight through the pain? Initially.
Most of the time, just warm up.
Yeah.
Have a good warm up, and then I'm gonna lift.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bottom line. I'm gonna lift. So I'm gonna do something I want to do versus not doing something I want to do because I'm uncomfortable. Because the arthritis will probably never go away. You might feel better from day to day or feel worse, with weather or whatever, or if you had to sit all day. But I mean, if there's something you want to do and there's some discomfort versus not doing it and being equally as uncomfortable,
right?
Why the fuck wouldn't you just do what you want to do also?
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I don't think there's any tips or tricks.
Well, I'd say also too for you, Andrew, just utilize the team,
Yeah.
And you've been doing that.
Yeah.
But I think you can even do it more often. Come in there, go up to Smokey, say, what should I do? Come in there, go up to Marcus, go up to me.
What did we talk about earlier? First of all, about the teamwork, exactly what Mark just said. What does Marcus do on his off days? He sets himself up with all these other prehab, rehab stuff to be able to do what he wants to do.
Right.
And a lot of that is with if it's anything to do with the back, it has to do with core stability and everything stability. So Stuart McGill stuff and some of the other stuff that Marcus does.
The big three.
Kelly and what Jesse does, and that's mandatory because you have a special need.
Right.
So you can't treat it like a regular lifter. You have to pay special attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus gets on the ground and he rolls the barbell on his forearms and on his fat legs and everything, and he just looks like a manatee. He's on his side, and I always have other people check on him. Can you check him?
They are an endangered species.
And I shot a couple videos doing some other stuff in here, and I don't even remember what it was, but everyone was just so concerned about him. They're like, "What happened to that fat guy in the background? He fell down."
Yeah, who is that?
Barbell knocked him out, and he's just laying on the
floor. Internet's a bunch of fucking haters.
They're just jelly. He's so thick that he's the same height when he's laying on his side.
Yeah, whether or not he walks through a door straight or sideways, it's going to bump. Something's going to bump.
I can't help it.
Doesn't make any difference.
Yeah. For whatever reason, some guy named Marco asked Marcus when you're going to start cutting.
Cutting, so I'm gonna be keeping on the diet that I'm on right now and just slowly bring myself down, and then I'll cut 2 weeks out.
What's your diet looking like right now?
Vertical diet.
Nice.
Yeah.
Vertical diet. He's doing
minus the in and out stacked on top of each other.
Yeah, he was framed. He was misrepresented.
Mm-hmm. If he takes it and puts it in his mouth, you are not to blame.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer or anything.
There was no video evidence of me eating those, so.
I just take some pictures of him here and there and try to send them over to Stan, and Stan gets so excited. and to Brian Shaw. Brian Shaw is somebody that gets really disgusted when people aren't like just doing any and everything they can to be the best. He absolutely just doesn't understand it.
As he should. That's his mindset. So
He'll look at you and just shake his head. He's a total disappointment. It's like, what the?
it's like, well, what did you expect? Of course you missed.
So at the SD Classic, it was hilarious. He saw me eating an apple fritter, just fucking fat shame me.
That was gross.
DJ Webb comes over, and there was like this giant fucking donut, and somebody challenged him to eat it, right? And then so he's talking about that, and like Brian's like, well, did you finish? He's like, well, what do you mean? He's like, did you finish the donut? He's like, yeah. He's like, well, good for you. And I'm like, I just got fucking fat shamed. He ate a donut that was like 3 times the size of what I just ate, and you were giving him props.
Life ain't fair.
I saw a guy eat 2 of them at the place I was at. They were called Dallas because they were the size of Texas. I saw him eat 2 of them.
That's a lot of donut.
Yeah,
That'll
was a
make
lot
you,
of guy.
That'll make you barf. Oh. What's some of your favorite powerlifting stories that you've been around? Like, what are some of the funny or cool or like?
Kurt Kowalski was always usually involved in a lot of it. He was always a lot of fun. Always a lot of fun.
I remember you telling a story about him going heavier than you. You remember that one?
At the 91 Nationals when I told 2,400, I tried a 986 squat, which weighed out to be 991, but I missed it. And he tried 1,000 and missed it, 1,003. And after his squat, he came up to me and says, "Ha ha, I missed more than you did."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, being around some of these guys that just want to be the best, there's got to be some aggression and stuff. You ever see any of these guys like get into it in training or in the meet or anything like that?
I've seen a lot of shit talking.
Yeah.
But usually when people meet in person, it's all gone.
Yeah, especially online, right?
Yeah, it's just so easy.
When Powerlifting Watch was a big deal, I was telling these guys the other day I used to go on there all the time and I'd troll everybody.
Powerlifting Watch and GoHeavy.com.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That one has a lot. That one still has a lot of hate flying around on there.
I remember who was the guy who did one of the first really big squats from Pennsylvania?
Miller.
Mike
Miller.
I remember he got on there. He must have had some bad days, and he was threatening all these people.
Oh shit.
And these were like friends of mine, so I threatened him back. And then I saw him in person, and he pulled up in Chicago at like a Bench America it was, in this big truck, and I'm sitting on a bench outside, and he pulls up, and he just looks at me, and I look at him. I said, "What?" Hi.
Yeah, you're like, what's
that was
up?
it. Nothing. It's just bullshit talking online.
People
People get heated and they say stupid shit.
I used to go on there and just mess with everybody. Anytime anybody ever did anything, I'd go under there because you didn't have to use your name or whatever on there, right? And so I'd just go on there, and anytime anybody did a lift, I'd say, "You're not Ed Coan." Every time, "You're not Ed Coan." Then people would get mad at me, and they'll be like, "Why's it got to be about Ed Coan? Can't people be happy for, this guy? He just set a record." And I'm like, "No, he's not it." And I just keep talking shit every time. I'd put it on.
So you built like the Ed Coan hater fan club.
Yeah, every time. And then people would say, "This is probably like someone that Ed Coan pays," and like it started all kinds.
And I didn't even know you then.
No, it started all kinds of bullshit.
That's when you were Smelly the smartass. Not a lot has really changed.
No. It hasn't changed that much, has it?
It can't.
What's your kind of favorite thing that you ever did? Like most thing you're most proud of
in powerlifting?
Yeah.
Longevity and all the friends I made.
Yeah. I
mean, lifting, you can get really great at lifting. And
right.
That's part of a lifter's legacy, but the person and the friends you hold on to.
Right.
You know what? I really wasn't a dick. Just be nice to everyone and everything. I got friends everywhere in the whole world. And I go to Australia twice a year. We were just in Kuwait. I've been to all kinds of these other places, and I get along with everyone.
When I was in Australia, that's all they talked about. They were like, Ed Coan was here, and like he lifted at this place, he ate over there. They like remembered everything. Mm-hmm. That's got to be a really good feeling to have friends all over the world, have people that are excited to see you.
Those are some of
the
Australians that I know are some of the nicest and ball bustingest people I know that are an absolute riot.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Is it sometimes a little overwhelming to you? I mean, you're just a short kid who's got bad coordination, who worked hard. Yeah, you're very short.
Fuck. No, I just
Sometimes it's like, huh?
I just appreciate it.
That's cool.
I mean, I'm just Eddie. I don't know how to be anybody else. I'm
Right.
just me, and that's it. Hi, how you doing? Hi. Did you ever get sick of signing pictures? No, it would suck if I didn't.
Yeah.
You know, if it all of a sudden it ended and everyone forgot. Now you didn't do anything that at the beginning that gives you a legacy to last on.
Right. Do you sometimes like it when people don't know who you are? If you're like, giving somebody a tip in the gym or something?
If I walk into a local meet, I'll still pay and walk in. I don't say, "Oh, do you know who I am?"
Right.
No, I should just support people and just be nice. But yeah, I've had people come up to me. I was in the airport once, and the other year when I was coming back from Australia and going to Jesse's meet, stopped in L.A. and there was some kid who had some type of powerlifting shirt on from a college, and I sat next to him waiting for the next flight, and I started talking to him about powerlifting, and he had no idea who I was.
That's awesome.
And I never let it on who I was. I just kept talking to him about powerlifting. It was pretty cool.
He's probably so pumped to tell you about his 315 squat.
Yeah, he had no idea. No idea. But, there's time, you don't always have to say who you are. Oh, by the way, I'm this. Who cares?
What are some of the goals now from a lifting perspective?
I want to lift. I want to be able to do like 500 for 15 in the squat. The other day, I was going to do a whole bunch of reps at 500, and I pulled my calf.
No.
I was so pissed because the weight felt so good. But I just started doing low bar squat again, so I know it was probably a little more lean and a little pressure on it. And the rest is just, my shoulders haven't been the greatest for a while, but they're starting to get better by not benching.
Right.
So, you know what? I'll do incline stuff. I'll do a bench press machine. I start off by doing flies, by activating my pecs, because my shoulders were so bad for so long that anytime I benched, my pecs wouldn't work. It just went right to the shoulders. So my pecs shrunk. So now I start off doing fly machine or something like that first. Now it tells my body, okay, this is what's supposed to work now. And then I go on to it from there. And in a deadlift, I can always deadlift some weight. So just having fun.
Just
I want to look good and feel good.
Right.
And lift a little bit of weight. I don't have to lift the moon, but maybe a little small star.
Right. For some of the people that maybe hopefully in the future will get a chance to go to a seminar that you're doing, what are some of the things that you're teaching? I know you're teaching a lot of bench squat, deadlift technique.
We mainly give them a brief overview of what I'm going to do, and then I say, everyone start doing your mobility stuff because we're going to squat, bench, deadlift. As you go through that and you watch everyone do it, because you're running around, boom, 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 all over the place, all over the place, which is you got to give them your money, what they're paying for.
Right.
And if you don't feel guilty, then you're a dick.
Yeah, right.
So you as long as it takes is as long as it takes.
Right.
And usually in that period of time, you're correcting people, and they're either setting PRs or they're realizing what they did wrong. So you're answering a lot of the questions that are relative as you're going along, and then afterwards, it's like, gather around, guys. Usually by that time, everyone knows I'm just an idiot. I'm a regular guy just like them. I just lifted more weight, and this is my game.
Right.
Now, they're more apt to ask better questions, and then that's usually it. Now, when I do them with Stan jumps in and does a lot of the nutrition stuff, and he will give them some different cues than I will give them. So we work together and keep working in and out. Like, I'll watch this group, and I do this with Josh Bryant sometimes too. I'll watch this group, he'll watch that group, I'll go over here, then he'll watch my old group, I'll go to his old group. So we work together all the time.
What's up with some of the martial arts stuff? You still doing that?
It's more counter violence. So it's more like what's going to happen in
Demonstrate
real
on Marcus.
If I don't attack him, he can't use his counter violence on me.
Oh,
Sure I can.
Then it's not counter violence.
It is.
It's violence.
And I started it because it was like JKD, and it morphed into this guy Mike Van Beek, focus counter violence stuff, and it's kind of all these martial arts mixed into one. To how do I defend myself, against what could possibly happen to me. I mean, we're not hanging out at a bar at 2 a.m., so we're not going to have to worry about that.
Right.
But you're going to have to worry about a carjacking, something that can happen in your business, a home invasion. What are you going to do if you walk into your house and somebody is beating the crap out of your wife?
Right.
And he's got a buddy over there. You got to know what to do and how to approach that to be able to take care of him and worry about the next guy.
Right.
Or what happens if right now I just go boom? How do you react to that, and what are you going to do?
I'll cry.
See, so yeah, so you learn. It's not like we're going to square off. There's a power curve. The attacker is always at the height of the power curve, but how do you reverse that is
Right.
to make him on the defensive. Then you get into the stuff, but there's, all kinds of stuff built in, which is, some of it is, of course, MMA stuff.
Right.
But then when you get into elbows, headbutts, bites, eye jabs, when you learn how to use a weapon, and then now the power curve shifts.
Right.
And that's what you want to do. You want to be able to walk into your house at night. You don't want to go to Costco and all of a sudden get jumped. You don't want some guy stomping on your head. You don't want someone. What happens if someone busts into the office or something and says, "Give me all your money"?
Right.
Well, the first thing is to try to give them your money.
Right.
Just go ahead, give them out, give them your car, whatever. But a lot of times it's not going to work out that way because violence doesn't have rules.
Yeah.
So you get into other stuff, and I really like that. But I wanted to be able to move a little bit more athletically again, and that actually gave me a really good start.
You train that way quite a bit still?
Yeah.
A couple times a week, something like
Yeah,
that?
it keeps me mentally sound.
Yeah.
I really love the violence in the training.
Yeah.
But it's not like anyone that wants to go out and fight is a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to have to do that.
Right.
But you like to be prepared, and it keeps me fresh and a little more athletic. Because I can actually move really, really quick if I have to, like during training and stuff. But it's just something that
It's good to have a motivation.
I had to do it to. I'm not going to go out and play basketball or run stadium stairs, but I had to do something that was really cool. The first time I saw this guy, I was like, holy fuck, that's like watching the Bourne Identity movie.
Yeah.
But in real life, then it's like, oh my God, that is so cool.
Does he have a lot of wisdom, or is he more just like training?
Oh no, he's in the program. He had a drug problem when he was younger, and a lot of people that are at top levels in that learned on the streets. They learned like a lot of martial arts stuff, and then they learned on the streets how to apply that, which is a different kind of fighting.
Right. Yeah, there's a real tactical side to it.
Sure.
That's
it's never going to what you'll never see is like a jab. It's always going to be someone headhunting or someone grabbing a bat or a board or jumping you, or it's never going to be rules. It's always going to be someone. Their motive is to take your money, beat you, rape your wife, kill somebody.
You think a lot of things like this should be like maybe taught in school or something? Like, do you think people should?
No.
You think this is like a skill that people should know?
I think like in a college level it could be alternative school because especially because girls that go to college,
right?
What are they gonna learn? Especially nowadays with the scumbags out there in every way, shape, and form, is what are they gonna learn? They got to be able to protect themselves and feel good about themselves. So yeah, from in a college point of view, I could see it. But I mean, you're never going to be able to get away with teaching kids something to do violent when they're, you'll have your 3-year-old kid walking up and headbutting some kid.
Do you do any jujitsu?
Some of the ground fighting
and things like that.
Some of the ground fighting is there, but then there's kicks and elbows and bites and all kinds of stuff on the bottom to change things.
And bites?
Oh yeah. I'll show you later.
How do you practice biting?
Okay.
You kind of pretend. Yeah. In the old days, they used to stick like a stake underneath someone's shirt. So when if Marcus, as I can tell by his eyes, if he mounted me like he liked to.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like if I bucked him and grabbed him around, I pulled him in and I bite him. So you would bite a stake underneath his shirt instead.
Now, what if you're into that though?
well, then I'd lose.
Yeah, he just gets an erection.
Yeah.
Then what do you do?
Yeah. Take care of it. Fight ends. So, like, if I did that, what's your first thing? If I bite you, you got to get away.
Yeah, too much pain.
And that's the first easy way when you push away to turn a guy, headbutt him, hit him a couple times.
You want,
yeah. And for a woman, you want her to be able to get a kick, an eye jab, an elbow, just a palm strike, just enough for her to be able to get away. That's all.
Right. A lot of times these attackers too, they're not looking for.
A lot of them
they don't want to struggle.
A lot of them aren't skilled. They want an easy target to get in and out, but they might really seriously beat the crap out of someone to get it. Right. Especially if you don't give it up.
Right. They might be like, I'm already engaged in this. I might as well go all the way. And
yeah.
might stab you or shoot you or whatever.
Yeah. Usually that's what happens.
Yeah. I'll leave this question up for anybody to answer. But there's a handful of people asking about which steroids have helped over the powerlifting careers of everybody up on the podcast right now.
Steroids? Oh, my God. Well, obviously, many lifters use testosterone, but, getting into, what people take and everything is a little bit of a hairy situation. And it's like, it's pretty basic, though, too,
Every roid, I think, the basic of it is testosterone.
Right.
And it's when people start mixing and matching and making up these weird names of stuff they're taking, and that's when more problems occur.
Well, it always you always have to go back to your training, and people that are natural hate hearing that because they're like, oh, they think there's some secret going on, but steroids do help. They do help you get stronger. But just adding in more and more without really knowing what you're doing is a big mistake. And there's a lot of forums out there, and there's a lot of books. You can read about them further online to learn more. But most of what I've seen in the history of powerlifting and most of the people I've ever communicated with, testosterone, DECA, D-ball has always been a very standard stack for somebody to do for a powerlifting meet. From what I've heard.
Basics.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what Smoke's on. Smoke's on IGF-2. Smokey.
That's something new?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say
it's only grown body hair so far.
It's grown from fecal matter.
Oh.
It explains his shitty personality.
Poor guy doesn't have a microphone. He's just getting killed.
Buddy.
No, nothing smoky.
Gave an opportunity.
Yep. He's out of his element.
But if when we go back to that, in the old days they used to say, well, he can only do that because he takes something. But look at the raw numbers now.
Yeah. Well, raw.
Look at the raw numbers in the IPF in like USAPL.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right.
Look at some of the monsters doing some big lifts. So obviously that's not really the all and be all.
Right.
Or else you wouldn't have those guys.
Oh, it's insane. And that's what I say too, is like, not every guy who's getting drug tested could pass all these tests all the time. So like, there's got to be some of these people have to be.
There's always going to be.
Yeah, there's always going to be people that are doing them, right? But my point is, accept the possibility that some of the people that don't take anything are beating records that have existed from people that were taking stuff.
Yeah,
it's okay.
That would just be your own fragile ego saying it can't happen. This guy, nobody wants to. If your record gets broken, your record gets broken. It's nice that if it takes like 30 years to do it.
Yeah.
And the manner that it's done in, but to use your own ego and say there's no one that can lift more than me unless he's juiced.
Right.
That's just bullshit. There's some guy on his farm picking up the cow and walking around with it that doesn't even know how to lift yet.
Yeah, and if you think that you need to take them to do a 700-pound deadlift, you definitely don't, because there's a lot of people that are. Kaylor Woolen posted a video the other day, conventional deadlift 705. He's like, I don't know, 15 or 16 at the time. There's a lot of people that are picking up big ass weights that are either getting drug tested or that are new to the sport. That, in my opinion, I don't think they touched anything. It's hard to really ever know. You don't really ever know. But like, you look at someone like Jen Thompson. I mean, how many times has that woman been tested?
See those shoulders?
Yeah, it's amazing. But she's benching over 300 pounds as a female that weighs like 120 something pounds, 130 pounds, or whatever it is. So,
yeah, I think 132 or whatever the cutoff is now. They changed the weight classes, but
there's some remarkable weights.
Kimberly Walford
being moved around. And if you're young and you don't have much of a foundation, as we talked about earlier, there's really no point in looking into it.
No, just say, "Wow, nice lifting."
Right.
That's it.
Got any questions over there, Andrew?
How about some poop stories? I know you just took a picture in our.
I told Marcus it was almost a disaster.
Disaster pants.
We were talking about cramping, and I said I was dieting for a contest, and I was having trouble pooping.
Oh no!
So I'm sitting on the toilet, trying to push. Every ab I had locked up horribly, and they tighter and tighter. So I go back trying to do a back bend, and right before they were about to pop loose, my erectors cramp up. So I'm like, oh, fuck. So I go down here, abs cramp back up, push off the sink in the windowsill, triceps lock up, and when I stand up all the way, my glutes and hamstrings lock up. I hit the ground, like whining in pain, trying to keep the turtle from getting out of the shell back there. And my mom knocks on the door and starts coming in before I'm screaming at the same time, trying to keep it in.
She'd be like, honey, what are you doing in there?
Yeah.
The same thing she knocked on your door when you were 13.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Anything else you want to leave us with here at the end?
Let's see. What did we learn today?
You're short, no longer angry little troll.
Mm-hmm. And you lost your trainer.
God damn it.
I win.
What if I buy you dinner?
Mm-hmm. That's better.
There you go.
No, it's just we learned a lot of basic stuff that's not put into play. Mm-hmm. We learned the value of sticking to routine, and that's like make up a routine that it has to be doable over time. Right. Each week has to build upon it. If it's not where you start, it's where you finish, obviously. But you don't have to set an all-time world record every time you go out. You just have to build upon that. Let's say one cycle you started your squats off at 500. The next cycle, let's say you started off at 510. Let's say the first week you did 2 sets of 10. You actually did 200 more pounds total volume right then.
Right.
And then if you add in your assistance exercise and you went up on your assistance exercises. Now, so do that over 12 weeks and look at the amount of total weights you lifted over that time that you got this part of your pec, this part of your pec, this part of your shoulder, that part of your shoulder, both parts of your triceps, your biceps, your lats.
I love when you touch me.
Yeah. So you got all those parts strong. So in the end, look at what you built.
Right.
It's not like, oh, I just got my bench press up, 10 pounds at the end. No, if you build all that in the end and all those parts get stronger and bigger, what did you build? You see what I'm talking?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. And that's one of the biggest values I think I did. And I just kept going and kept going and kept going and kept going. But at the same time, what was that movie with Jim Carrey, 23, where like when you walked in his room and he had all those numbers all over the walls?
Yep.
I would do that with routines. I had hundreds of pieces of paper.
Get everything all written out.
Yeah, you know how many number 2 pencils I went, what is it, Ticonderoga pencils or whatever, that I went through making up my routine. It was always in pencil because I would always have to erase and go back and learn how to do it.
You wrote down like notes too, like if you did something and liked it, you wrote it down. If something popped up in your head, like, oh, I should try that.
Yeah.
Even like the way that you did your stiff leg deads, the way that you did your bent over rows, like they all had like a little finishing touch on them, and it's probably just trial and error and taking notes on what felt good.
Yeah, exactly. What felt good, what felt natural, and you build and it changes the whole time. Someone like Mike T. Mike Teixeira is actually like a genius.
He really is.
But he's always experiment, because there's always going to be a way to get better.
Right.
And that's what we all do. It's just the little tweaks that are going to have the biggest impacts.
What do you think of the new Super Training Gym? This is your first time
Holy crap.
visiting this
They
spot.
got a video of me. First of all, when I walked in, it's not just like this, oh, we're just going to do business out of a gym. It's not like that. This is like a real professional place now. This is like ESPN Studios, which is fucking badass. And the store is stocked and just visually stimulating to watch.
Yeah. I think that was Joey that you were looking at.
Oh. It explains it.
Yeah.
And then the gym part is enormous.
Yeah, it's a good sized gym, isn't it? We got a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, but it's not a health club. It's a place where you want to go. You're not going to work out here. You're going to train.
Right.
So every time you come in, you know you're going to have a purpose, and that's going to be, I'm going to bust my ass because I'm in the right atmosphere to do it. And because you guys work as a team and back everybody, there's never going to be a problem, and everyone's always going to fulfill and go after what they want. And I actually went in the back where you have the warehouse part, which, holy crap, you got some products back there. And I stuck 2 knives out of 3.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
but
we got
my axe or hatchet was fucking horrible.
Yeah, we have a wall to throw some knives. And have you ever shot like a bow or anything like that before?
No.
Yeah, we got all that stuff over there too. That's like impossible. I was trying it.
Yeah.
Marcus, you probably done stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's pretty. He's
Shooting
pretty,
rats in alleys and
he's
stuff.
pretty redneck. This guy.
And that's about it. I mean, the bottom line is if you do everything and enjoy the process, you're always gonna be successful. And
Boom.
Success is at the end of it all. It's not always, just because you miss doesn't make it not a success. As we talked about earlier, there's always going to be a reason why you miss. If you miss and make a mistake, if you learn from that right away and correct why you missed, the 1 or 2 or 3 reasons why you missed, that next workout, those problems don't happen. And there might be another one that crops up, but when you keep correcting, you have less things to correct. So in the long run, you're like, perfect.
What's your favorite movie of all time?
Shawshank Redemption.
That's a fucking good one.
And you know what? I have to admit, I love really bad B vampire movies with hot vampire chicks.
Almost like a Skinamax type deal from back in the day.
Not naked vampires per se, but hot, cool vampire movies. I always like those.
That's a very weird fetish, Ed.
It's not really, I don't masturbate to them.
Maybe you do. Maybe later.
I'm not saying.
What are some words that you lean on, in times of need? Like, what's some advice that you got? A favorite quote? It could be kind of anything in that category. But what's something that has always been there for you when you needed it?
Well, for the anger management part, my dad always said, you know how some people, before they react and do something, they have to count to 10? I want you to count to 20, Eddie.
That's great.
Yeah. And besides that, I think
that's hilarious.
I think I've just learned to relax and be nice for real. It may sound a little bit cliche-ish, but I just relax and be nice to everybody, and it made my life so much easier.
Yeah, it is a lot easier when you're not always trying to like jockey for position, or you're not always trying to one up somebody.
No, it's not about that. It's like
cut someone down.
No, you're just trying to better yourself.
Yeah,
you're not going to really walk over people and get anywhere, because that always comes back and bites you in the ass.
Right.
You just try to get better. This is what I want. This is what I'm going to go after. I make my plan, and now I'm going to execute it. And just like I said, it's just being nice. Treat everyone. Hi, how you doing? What's the problem with that?
Any more questions for him, Marcus?
No,
Marcus, Andrew.
Yeah, I got you. Knowing everything that you know now, what would you have told your younger self to do anything different?
No, because I think the mistakes I made, I learned from, and in the long run, it made me better.
That's awesome, dude. That's all I got over here.
Is there any lifter, past or current now, that you would have liked to have really gone head-to-head with in your prime?
Well, at my prime, to be able to use like some of the bars and the weigh-in stuff now, I would have loved to be in the mix with some of these guys.
Yeah, you would love to see what that looks like, right?
24-hour weigh-in.
Yeah.
What was your best total?
2463.
Is that 242 or?
Well, now, yeah, but like 234 or something. Now, like my raw lifts in the gym back then, before even sleeves were invented, I did an 865 walkout. Doubled 9 1/4 real easy with an old pair of double gold lines.
Just a pair of knee wraps.
Yeah, just the old 2-meter ones. And then bench was a 565 pause, and deadlift 900 for 2.
900 for a double. In that meet where you did do the 901-pound deadlift, what was the next weight that you went for?
920, which weighed out to be like 924. And I got too psyched too soon, and I pulled it up to my knees, and I just lost it.
You think it was like just a little bit less weight that you might have been able to make it, or?
No, I think it was after the 901. It was so anticlimactic that I lost everything.
What do you think of some of these mutants now? Like you got Kaler Wollum, like that kid. Like I don't know. It looks like he might end up deadlifting 1,000 pounds at some point.
If he could stay healthy and get his knees better,
right?
There's no telling what he can do. And he's a really nice guy.
He might need to weigh a little bit more, you think, or not really?
If he can, it's hard. He's got he doesn't have big hips. It's all, a lot of hamstring and back. So if he could build his quads up, that will take some pressure off his back and his hamstrings, he'll actually get the bar moving more at the beginning. But his lifts have come up. I mean, his bench got better.
Larry Wheels ripped up a 900-pound deadlift
Holy
recently,
crap.
and he's jacked.
Yeah, when he went to bodybuilding and then came back, he's really big now.
What's that old video? Didn't he pull 675 or something for a double or something like that with stand? And that's kind of the first time a lot of people saw him. I think it was just 7 plates.
Yeah.
Now he's pulling an extra,
225 pounds.
Yeah, 225 pounds, unbelievable.
And he's young. It's, whether or not he can last, that'll be the key.
Right.
But I know he wants to be a pro bodybuilder too. So I'm sure he wants to squat whatever 800 in the meet, bench 600 at his new weight class, and deadlift 900, and then he would probably.
He can make a great bodybuilder. I think he'd probably just need bigger legs.
Legs and calves.
Calves, right? Yeah.
It's a shame like Dan Green got hurt.
Yeah.
Because he was primed for some really good stuff at a nice comeback. Kevin Oak did a really, really nice squat of 832.
That was a great squat.
Buried the crap out of it. It was beautiful. Yeah. And there's a bunch of, the heavyweights. You got Andre. You got this Peter Petrov from Czech Republic, who's a mutant beyond belief.
Is he coming back again? He kind of disappeared for a while.
Yeah, he's supposed to show up at Big Dogs.
Oh, no.
You got Sean Doyle.
Nobody really knows much about him.
I know. Well, he's got to prove it in a regular meet.
Yeah.
Training lists don't count.
He's been laying low, and
he had hurt his pec before, and now he's coming back again. Big guys, lightweight guys. There's some really good Australian lifters. A couple of the meets over there. Well, the Big Dogs is for all the heavyweights, and they have a Pro Raw over there, which is mainly for Australian lifters. But they opened it up and they let some other lifters over. It's at the Australian Arnold, and actually, it's almost the biggest thing at the Australian Arnold. Almost as big as bodybuilding. Yeah, it's really cool. That would be something.
When is that?
To go? That's like 2 weeks after our Arnold. It's there.
Oh, maybe I will try to figure that out. Are you going to Body Power?
No, I'm gonna actually go to that U.S. Open.
Oh, that's the
same weekend,
San Diego.
But I told you a bunch of my Irish and UK guys are waiting to see you there.
Cool. Yeah, I've been getting a lot of messages. It's actually really cool to think like that people across the pond.
It's like, why do they want to see me?
Yeah, it's like people care.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, but see, they'll appreciate not just what you build, but the services you give, and then your smart-ass, normal guy attitude after everything.
Right.
That's all. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to go home and be dad.
Yep.
Keep you humble. You got your parents.
Yeah.
We talked about why I have to leave on Sunday night.
Yeah.
Because of my mom. Well, my mom's not really doing that good. She's got a lot of arthritis, and she's
in a lot of pain, you said.
Yeah, battled cancer twice and has a bunch of replacements. So and she's like she'll be 88 in a couple months.
Good God.
But yeah, and she never complained before, but now that she's complaining, even with painkillers, you know it's really bad. So she's having problems in her back and her neck. And there's not really anything you can really do.
Right.
She's just a tough old lady. But if I get back, on Sunday night, fuck, this is hard. On Monday morning, before I start my week, I get to go over to her house.
Oh, that's cool.
And spend 15 minutes or so there.
Right.
Now, you know how valuable family is.
Absolutely, yeah.
If you could spend 15 more minutes,
Yeah,
that's huge.
15 more minutes, especially, as they're not feeling well.
Mm-hmm.
It means a lot to you. It means a lot to them.
Yeah.
And
but look at that. If they're not with you anymore, what you wouldn't give.
Right.
That's the thing. So then you don't have any regrets. And they feel good because they just saw you. They may forget that they saw you 15 minutes after you leave.
Right.
But, you were there.
Yeah.
And that's really, really important.
Yeah, my son, I always tell him, I said, don't let your grandpa be a bad influence on you, because my dad always wants to he wants to hang out with my son, till 9:30, 10 o'clock on a school night. And my wife's always like, where's Jake? Where's Jake? She's like, text him or go over there and go get him. I'm like, you know what? I can't break up the party, man. It's
No, and actually I can guarantee you all the stories he's telling you. He's telling him the history, but he's also a teacher.
Right.
So he's teaching him way more stuff that he doesn't even know it yet.
Right. Yeah, he's teaching them all kinds of stuff. I mean, they're doing like construction stuff. They build shit. They do all kinds of different things. My son knows how to do taxes.
There you go.
Yeah. My son's like, did you file your... And I'm like, what? I'm like, I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, ask your grandfather.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, so that part's worth it. That's what's really worth it at the end of everything. 15 minutes, that's all it is.
10-minute walks too.
Yep.
Don't forget those.
I actually started them. I couldn't do them this week after I pulled my calf, but I have a route where I'll do it twice in a day, which is like 18 minutes.
It feels good.
And just those two, all of a sudden I notice my posture, and all of a sudden I notice the pace that I walk at is like I'm flying now. So you really notice, and it clears your head, and you sleep better.
Try walking with Andy. You'll feel really slow. She walks really fucking fast.
Well, she's got legs like this long.
Yeah. Did you follow Paul Anderson when you were younger?
Actually, I went to there was a guy, Tom Ciolo, who remember that product, Hot Stuff?
Yeah.
So he owned that, and he had a strength symposium.
There was Dianabol in there.
Yeah, supposedly. Methyl test, Dianabol, everyone heard of those.
You guys had all the good stuff.
Obviously, I didn't take enough.
Just a supplement at GNC.
Yeah. It was a tainted supplement. That's what made me
You're like, it
fail.
had everything.
We can't even get legit protein because of amino spiking.
Yeah, it's considered, at one time, you couldn't, in the NCAA, a strength coach couldn't give his players protein powder. It was considered anabolic. But yeah, he had a big strength symposium down there with all the powerlifters and a bunch of other people, and Paul Anderson attended. So I have a picture somewhere at home with Paul Anderson with all of us. He was in a wheelchair at the time, but it was a bunch of all the meathead powerlifters and stuff in suits and ties, and Paul Anderson.
He may have been like diabetic or something, right?
Yeah, he had a lot of.
He was big guy.
Diabetics, and then then your kidneys go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And that was on a metal set with a metal bar, not any springy type stuff. Yeah, he was built to lift.
Were you strong at some of these weird lifts? Did you ever mess around with any weird stuff? I know you always had grip strength, but you never really toyed around with like.
You know what? I stayed in my lane.
Yeah.
Everyone at the very beginning was like, "Oh, you should do strongmen." Like, I get hurt enough doing powerlifting. Why the hell am I going to do strongman? Plus, how am I going to load a stone?
Right. Yeah. Hey, too short.
Exactly. Look what happened to something like Gary Taylor.
Yeah.
The knees, and Mark Filippi, who was just was under 300 pounds and was like 6'1", and he
Tore
blew
both
out his
quad tendons.
knees. Yeah.
Yeah.
Had a car fall on him.
And, you know, I stood next to Brian Shaw and Thor. Are you kidding? I'm the size of one of their dumps.
It's actually very true.
Yeah.
I just love these old school like singlets and stuff that they used to wear. Like
Yeah.
Paul Anderson always looked like a giant baby. He looked like he was in a onesie.
I used to have one of the old Russian ones that was made like of wool.
Yeah. Remember Alexiv, the ones he had?
That's
His
one of the ones I had.
Yeah, his stomach.
Actually,
was out.
at one time, I'm sure somewhere at one of the world gyms in Columbus, they still have the set that he did the first 500 pounds on.
Oh,
Alexiev.
really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. All right, guys, we're going to run on out of here. Ed's got to get a lift in. We're going to grab some dinner. Strength is never a weakness. Weakness is never a strength. Ed, where can they find you?
Oakland, Illinois. But my Instagram account, my Instagram account that I owe to Mark, Ed Coan, Eddie Coan, whatever, at Eddie Coan.
Yeah, we started it here a couple years ago.
Yeah, he's like, give me your damn phone. And then he set it up for me. And on Facebook too, Ed Coan. But that's about it.
I think that's really cool because kind of based off of that, obviously your lifting history speaks for itself. But if it wasn't for social media, it's hard to still have that voice.
Yeah, if I wasn't on Facebook, if you didn't put me on Instagram, none of the seminars, and there's a vast hundreds of thousands of lifters that really wouldn't know about history or me.
Yeah.
So I owe you that.
Yeah.
Fucker.
Well, we don't owe each other anything because we're friends. That's just the way it works out.
Yep.
Yep. Where can people find you, Marcus?
Filipino Thunder on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
We're out of here. Bye.
See you guys.